Hello, everybody. Welcome to Low Ink, April 2026. I'm Saucy here with Nox, and we're going to be getting into it soon. We're looking at Alpha Bracket for this month.
Yeah, always exciting. Day 2 of Low Ink and a very busy weekend. I'm sure a lot of these teams are eager to get into it and glad it's not another 9-hour tournament.
Yeah, for those that were playing yesterday in that NA League, or I guess it's just a 3-hour tournament. If chances are you are not Low Ink eligible if you got into the final part of the day for NA League. But this is the part 2. Everyone who did Low Ink in that first day got through to the brackets, and these are the creme de la creme who made it to Alpha Bracket. And the screen is still, I think it's like starting soon, but arguably we've started, I'd say not.
We might have started a little bit. It's very possible. You never know, though.
It's like, now. It's philosophical. When have we truly started? When you think
now.
Well,
but yeah, we've got no more Pizza Hut. Let that sink in. Should be an interesting way to start off the day.
Yes, and shout out to both of them also for having pictures. I always love when there's a little icon, but I'm noticing that let that sink in is a literal image of a sink, I think, behind a door. And you know,
very
got
powerful.
A lot to be. Let him in. Let that sink in.
Truly.
Yeah.
You gotta.
You gotta. And they gotta win this if they want to move on in the bracket. And actually, we're going to be starting off with zones on Barnacle and Dime. Now, tell me your thoughts about this map mode, because I feel like it can be kind of divisive being on this stage with this particular mode.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's definitely can get a little lockout heavy, but there's ways to break through. It's definitely a stage where your anchors matter a lot in terms of how you break in and how you choose to go about it. I personally think Inkling Tri-Stringer can do quite well here, but I don't expect to see it. That is me. Never mind. I'm so good at predicting things. I think Super Chumps are really useful at helping you break in here. And one of the nice things about Tri-Stringer is you can kind of just avoid the E-leader and paint a lot.
guess, and that's what this Tri-Stringer is going to have to do. They get a nice pick right off the top, almost blind, picking off Larry there on the decap. So right off the top, it feels like No More Pizza Hut just has more control over mid. They have those trumps that you're talking about, and they're moving into the enemy plat. Just a strong opening there.
Yeah, really strong opening. An incredible job there of getting set up really quickly, finding that opening pick and capitalizing on the space they could gain from it. And they're also doing a great job of creating these team fight scenarios, getting that chip damage in across all of their different weapons, really allowing them to take advantage of these situations.
Yes, you have, I think, a shot off the side. I think someone jumped off by mistake there, that being the Gal probably, and this pick from the E-leader, taking this high ground, seeing if they can just pick off anyone on their plat for good so that they can finally move in along with the big bubbler that gets popped from that decapitator. That is going to be the leader just getting countered. I think that's the thing about having a scope. You have that extra range, but at the end of the day, someone's right in front of you, and it's just so hard to see them.
It really is, and it can make it a little bit more challenging. It's often worth it for the extra range, but we're now seeing No More Pizza Hut really looking to find a way to keep control of mid here. The super chumps coming out, really enabling them to do that, and a great job of taking out that mid decapitator in its bevel.
Yes, but Bazooka not quite going to find any picks, but going to help in having everyone just hit back a little bit. But counter strikes, not the game, but the special, going to be popped there. And I think further just allows No More Pizza Hut to continue on with their stranglehold that they've had on the zone thus far. I think that having this Inkling bow just taking out that constant heat, making the other team go backwards, the space that they're keeping has really helped them, but finally, well runs a little bit dry and they have to.
Yeah, and I think this is where Let That Sink In might have a really nice time setting up. They have really good weapons for controlling a lot of space. That 52 gal able to use the wall and Killer Whale to really set up. And the E-leader going to have a couple people playing Protect the President in front of them to really make sure they're able to stay up. But super chumps have come out. A lot of specials coming out from No More Pizza Hut, looking to really get a push in now.
Yeah, but I think that's a really critical pick there on that Ultra Stamp, because they could have really gotten a lot of things done, and unfortunately, despite the good show of mechanics we saw there, Splatoon is going to go down that gal, and I think Chumps, they're sort of like the harbinger of a push coming. They come out and everybody moves forward with them. So 2 members down for Let That Sink In, and they're at a bit of an issue place once again, because it looks like they're moving in for the lockdown.
Yeah, and they've been doing an excellent job at moving up really quickly when they get the opportunity. Even though this 52 gal is trying so hard to get this Tri-Stringer out of the way, not quite going to be able to, having to dodge back into mid, but living for a lot longer than I would have expected, still going, but getting stared at by 3 people. They eventually go down. The zone was not quite capped in time for Let That Sink In, and No More Pizza Hut takes game 1 of the day.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate at the end there. Like you said, Splatoon on the gal lived way longer than we would have thought. But while that's happening, while you're in a 2v1, you're hoping that your team is able to move up and take the zone while half of the team is just being preoccupied. But I guess too much pressure from No More Pizza Hut just made it so that their teammates weren't quite able to do that.
Yeah, and I really liked their timing on the super chumps when they were using them to break back in. They were using them in a similar way to how we've seen Tenta missiles used over the years. They're both displacement specials, so oftentimes the timing and how you want to use them to push can be pretty similar.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, and I think right off the top of the game, before we even saw the picks from either of the teams, calling out, listen, I think chumps are really good for this push, and they really did exactly that right by the book. It was very much like, we get out those chumps, we stall until we can do it, and that's what got them out of the very common lockout situation you might find yourself in on a Barnacle and Dime.
Yeah, Barnacle and Dime is definitely one where you're gonna see a lot of lockouts. And I'm curious if you have any guesses as to what that Sink In might want to do in terms of a counter pick.
I think they've got that E-leader to set up the E-leader for something that is kind of plays to their strengths. Probably would be in their best interest. I think especially having seen Global Gauntlet yesterday with lots of counter picks, there is better, more than an abundance of leader maps for you to pick from.
Yes.
In their case, they are going to go with Tower Ship Shape as their
Interesting.
not necessarily maybe the first thing that comes to mind when I think leader map, but certainly not a detriment for them.
No, definitely not a detriment. Just a little bit interesting. Definitely can be a very steamrolly map. So if either team finds the momentum, it could easily become a knockout. There is no such thing as a... Oh, it's Sturgeon Shipyard? I can't go back to Splatoon 2 Pop Gun. You can't do that to me. I know.
Listen, there's ship in the name, close enough. Whatever. This is where the ships happen.
Jump scared by Sturgeon, a forbidden map.
Oh my gosh. Very well. Luckily, they will be at Ship Shape and not Sturgeon Shipyard.
To be fair, both steamroll.
Yeah. This is anytime we end up here, I always go, whoo, brr, it's a little bit cold. That's the snowball that we're likely going to see happening here, because once a team gets going, it's really hard to stop them, especially once they get past that second checkpoint. But right off the top, that gal, we've been seeing a lot of good mechs out of Splatoon, but they're not able to avoid that initial pick. And also, I think we'll see some changes in the comp as well.
Yeah, we see some pretty significant changes. We're seeing that Kraken, Octobrush coming out here, leave the Galaxy, and we've seen a switch over to Bulb's Tri-Stringer on the side of No More Pizza Hut. I do believe the colors are also off right now.
Maybe they've said, listen, it's our time to have that though. Sometimes you see something really good and you say, let me try that.
Look, Tri-Stringer's great. It's my favorite weapon in the game by quite a bit. I love the thing, but it's not an easy one, sadly. Kenji doing a great job of dodging and dancing around with that Ultra Stamp. Not quite able to find anything with it, though, as No More Pizza Hut. Not really finding the momentum yet. This first checkpoint tends to be what you're looking for to really get a push going here, and right now we're seeing Let That Sink In doing a great job of shutting down No More Pizza Hut's aggression.
Yes, and I think that's basically, like you said, very important. Can't let the team go here. Larry on this comments. Octobrush gonna get that pick. Really well clearing up that top left, and ultimately stopping to see if they can clean up everybody else. It's 2 members down for No More Pizza Hut, and all the while, I think this bow has been able to stay up. I think that's kind of their win condition, to make sure that they're able to keep that chip. But Larry, instead of manually doing it, gonna pop that Kraken, get everyone out of the way to get their team set up for this push.
Yeah, and I mean, really great timing on that Kraken. Did a great job of disrupting how No More Pizza Hut would want to push in and set up. We're now seeing this Trizuka at the ready. After they find this pick, they might look to use this on the Tri-Stringer, but first they've got to deal with this potential flank coming out. It's not going to be enough. The Tri-Stringer tapping the tower, playing super aggressively. It can sort of melee if it truly comes down to it, though it doesn't enjoy it. But Creek making it look more stable about it than it is.
Yeah, what a firefight happening on that tower. Literal backlines just fighting each other at point blank range, but as the dust settles, it seemed like Let That Sink In was in a better position, and they kind of given up that space to allow No More Pizza Hut to just kind of take it for free. Bo is going to have a little bit of chip on those members to help their teammates take that out, and we have a bit of an early tri-strike here as well. So it's a bit of a battle of the specials while both of these teams get things set up, but the leader going to stop that straight in its tracks with a really good pick there.
As leader is very prone to doing, able to really change the pace of the game with a single shot. Finding those opening picks is so important, and Adley found a great one there because it has let that sink in, truly recover mid, and now looking to set up on this right side potentially, but Creep's not going to make that quite so easy.
Yeah, like I said, I think their win condition is largely displacing this tri-striker. I think they're doing a really good job of forcing people off tower, displacing people. This Zuka's going to come out and try and take care of them, but not quite find them. However, the Gal gonna trade them out, cancel out that jet. So right now it's kind of smooth trailing for Let That Sink In. They still have to lead out all this time.
They do. Not major pushes coming out from either side. As snowbally as this map can be, neither side has actually found the momentum to really get it rolling. And we're seeing Let That Sink In maybe finally finding it now, especially as Just Felix is up on the side of No More Pizza Hut, choosing to jump out, moving away from that tower, making it really hard for No More Pizza Hut to really find the time and the opportunity they need here. But if there's a stage that you can make a massive push in overtime in, I'd say it's this one.
And you know, I think that there was a really critical Zuka that we saw there that allowed them to eke out even more points. People were kind of caught. I think the Zuka thus far hasn't been finding that much success, but two people sitting on that top right allowed them to get a pretty easy double. So this packet's going to come out. Not quite sure what they're going to find. Zuka's though, the person they're targeting popped that. Wow, a double here. I said, I don't know if they're going to get anything. But at the last second in their crashes, they did get a pick and then camped that jump back in. So, no one's on the tower. No one was able to get to it. Let That Sink In pretty handily takes this win.
Yeah, they looked really good there. Seems like it was a good counter pick on their part. Not always something we get to say, especially in knowing where a lot of these teams are still getting more comfortable in figuring out what kind of counter picks they want to make. So it's always great to see them not impede themselves, to say it simply.
Yeah, and it could be really brutal to impede yourself on somewhere like Ship-Shaped Tower.
Yes.
Because Pop Gun on Hydra.
Classic.
A classic Hydra out of Pop Gun.
Truly. You know, if you ever are going to see Pop Gun on anything, it's probably going to be the Hydra Splatling. Maybe occasionally a ranged blaster.
Pop Gun, and you're like, gun? The gun is a Hydra. But
yeah.
In the meantime, No More Pizza Hut, they know exactly what they want. They've counterpicked already to Rainmaker on Scorch Gorge. And I know at top level play, we've been seeing way more VAC used.
There were two of them last night in the NA League for Moonlight.
Yes. I remember even watching that. They had it on. But that now makes me think, because Let That Sink In, they are the ones with the charger. Are they thinking of running an Ink VAC, or instead maybe changing someone to 96 and having the VAC that way? That seems to be the most popular way of going at it. Or maybe you're Moonlight and you pick both.
Surely not. Surely not 2 days in a row for me. Surely I don't have to commentate that twice in 2 days.
Maybe just be called the Inkline Tri-Stringer. We're going to be met with
I don't need to vibe check teams. Maybe the Splat Charger will come out here. I wouldn't be shocked to see their 52 potentially switch over to a 96 Gal. They're not that similar, but in my brain they are.
Right? I'm like, they're both gals. Close enough.
They're both two-shot. That's the same thing.
That's the, I don't play either, so as far as I'm concerned, they're exactly the same. But
exactly. No. We're sticking with the E-Leader, going with the Kraken kit, and the vanilla
team.
And the Custom Blaster coming out here. Interesting. Inkbrush will be very disruptive and distracting, going for a lot of flanks there from Kenji probably. I'd imagine Larry's going to be going for similar things on the Octobrush, also aided by that Zipcaster to be able to break in like that. Very interesting composition changes here.
For sure. I was actually thinking that we'd see a switch on that bow, perhaps to the vanilla kit where they have...
I do love the Toxic Mist.
Yeah, you can toxic miss people, make it a little bit harder on that Rainmaker, but they said we don't need the assistance of that toxic miss at all. They get a very easy early check, and while I usually say on Scorch Gorge, we're not really looking for a knockout. Knocking out here can be so difficult due to how far in the enemy spawn you are. Given that aggressive opening, I wouldn't be super shocked if we did end up seeing that.
No, it wouldn't shock me. It is definitely a harder stage to do it on. And it's a shame that they let go of mid in the process of getting that push. Might have been worth it to try and keep a player or two up and around. But they're doing a great job of making it so that Let That Sink In is having a hard time finding the momentum to go forward. And a great job here from Creeth of just finding their opportunities to take their shots.
Yes, once again, the bow has been a thorn in their side practically this entire set. So they clean everybody out of mid. We have a pickup from the Zap, no doubt, who must have put down their cooler already. So they are free, and that allows their backline to keep on chipping people while they make this push. And you see the brush trying to just find whatever they can. They get counter brushed here from Polari, who then pops the zip to try and that pick on the Rainmaker, but their teammates do it in their stead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a great distraction and a great way of dividing up No More Pizza Hut. It really made it so that Let That Sink In could focus on the Rainmaker. Two players had to look at that Zipcaster, and it found a pick in the process. A really great way of shutting down that push. The question is if they can turn that into forward momentum, especially because No More Pizza Hut still has such a firm hold in mid.
Yes, we have that one pick from Adley there on this custom E leader, and it just feels like Let That Sink In. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the iron grip that No More Pizza Hut has on mid, but you see, they don't even have points yet. They're working on the pop now. Azuka is active, trying to find Creeth. Not quite going to happen. They're moving along with the Kraken, but moving forward and actually getting those points, much less that check, has been really difficult for them. We're already past the halfway point, and two members are down, so I would assume they would hopefully get it now. They do. They get the dunk, and we'll see if they're able to move forward enough to get this.
Yeah, the chumps coming out not really going to be enough to deter them here, but the pop going in favor of No More Pizza Hut makes it hard for them to find what they need. And a great grab, but a great shot from the E-leader coming out, keeping No More Pizza Hut from being able to drop it down. Creeth now going to have to work on forcing away Splatoon, but Larry looking to come in for the flank. And that's a rough spot to leave the Rainmaker in, because you can get lead so quickly, and there it is. Almost making it all the way up to the ramp now, looking to get some extra points, down to 30. The Kraken just ended. What a great job of grabbing that momentum Let That Sink In did from that shot Adley made.
Exactly. I was just thinking to myself that was a very unfortunate land to try and drop it off the right. You might want to just drop it down the ramp, deter them a little bit, because you always have the risk, despite the fact that it's by the grates, which is way more risky to go, that the other team is willing to take the risk. But the Zuka gets popped. That's two members down, and that's especially not what they want to see, seeing as though they are now at the disadvantage. So Larry just harassing their team there on that step.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Zipcaster's best at. It's a distraction, it's a nuisance, and it's something that suits the Octobrush so well. Rainmaker does get picked off. Larry finds another. Going to be looking to find Kenji now. It's brush v brush. Kenji popping that killer whale, forcing Larry to have to skirt around, looking to head towards that Rainmaker. Probably not the player wanting to grab it. It wouldn't shock me if Kenji wants to go over through that left side, but Adley says no to that. Rainmaker resets, 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, I think Let That Sink In. With that leader, for the most part, it seems like the tri-stringer on No More Pizza Hut has been doing a good job of just controlling everything. But they cannot forget that they are up against a leader that could just explode them at any moment. And now we are headed towards the last few seconds. We have Splat Kirby on that bow, getting them down to stop overtime from triggering. Really good pick to have at that buzzer beater moment. That is going to be Let That Sink In, taking the set.
Yeah, and really great to go to a game 3 so early on. Wouldn't surprise me to see No More Pizza Hut make a pretty good losers run with the showing they just put out there. Felt like they just needed a way to figure out how to disrupt the leader, force them away from where they were, And admittedly, a lot of what happened there was just because Adley hit that incredible shot while they were trying to drop it off that right side, because that situation could have changed the game state so much.
I'm inclined to agree. I think if they were just able to drop it somewhere else, or if Adley didn't hit that shot, their defense was ironclad. We saw so much blue in mid, and like I said off the top of the game, they couldn't even really pick up the Rainmaker and make a run. So a little bit of a blunder there, allowing their the opposite team to get in and make that crazy push. But they're going to go down to losers, so who knows? We might be seeing them again later in the bracket.
It's always possible. Sometimes, especially in low ink, wild losers runs happen. And it's always a treat when they do.
Okay, I think we may be going to a short break. Not quite.
No, we're not going to a short break.
No.
According to the pop gun in our ear.
A decisive and stern no to the break. For those of you who wanted one, tough.
Who needs breaks?
Straight into the tough nuggies. We're going straight in to the second game, though I'm not quite sure which one.
I think we're going to, if I've read correctly, yeah. Well, I think Chud Ruins, which not a statement I love saying, in Shadow Legion. Really?
And it's Chud Ruins with an ellipses, which makes it seem like I'm clicking on it. Like, well, where's the rest?
Yeah, yeah.
And there is no rest.
Very confusing of them. Always appreciated. It's not a community tournament unless teams decide to throw names at you. You know what? It's not. There was one, I think it was an SOS, where there was a team that their thing was just like the German name for a meatpacking plant or something. And it was like a billion syllables. So, you know, I'll take it.
Listen, all of the Dabble productions, I have to remember I'm the American here. You know, I can't get too mad at
this was an SOS.
Yeah. They're like, hey, we can. And it's just a team full of Americans just doing
I think it was. There was also a phase where teams would just put random letters as their name for team names for a while. RIP Splatoon 2, you're not missed. And we're going to be starting on Umami Splat Zones here. Always a classic, and the only dual zone we get to see regularly.
Yeah. Just about. Both of these teams definitely going to have to factor in how they plan to keep both of these zones painted, because unlike, let's say, an Undertow, so to speak, another dual zone place, or even like a Manta Maria, this is probably the dual zone sort of stage where it's easiest to just contest one of the zones from the opposite team. Putting them in neutral it takes nothing. You sneeze on the zone and suddenly everything's neutral. So figuring out how to lock out the team enough that you're not constantly having to deal with that is going to be part of the strategy, I'd argue.
Yeah, completely. The strategy definitely changes a lot on these dual zone maps. Focusing on knowing when you have the lead, that just getting that neutral and holding it can be enough to end the game is a really big difference in mentality. It's a lot harder of a fight at the end for that losing side, and I'm so intrigued to see how these two teams choose to go about it. What anchors they're running. I was about to say if they're running anchors, thinking I'm back in 2022. Everyone runs anchors now. It's not double crab meta. Excuse me as I lose my mind for a second.
Well, you know, some team are just like an F it, we ball type team. They're just all front lines. We don't need a pen. We're unconventional. And I feel like you're even more likely to see that in low levels. Sometimes having strong mechs and stuff like that, you're like, we've got it. We can just kind of brute force it. We don't need someone to just kind of stay back there. We Leroy Jenkins, especially because I'd say hyper dive as a concept more popular amongst lower level teams.
I would not disagree there.
Get away with that.
Yeah, I think it's more likely that you're able to either win on really good team cohesion in low ink, or you have really great mechanics. Oftentimes teams have not found both yet, but when they have, that's oftentimes when they win the tournament. because there's a lot that goes into finding that cohesion, especially in pickup settings, of being able to adapt quickly and figure out what you need to accomplish together to overcome whatever the other team's throwing at you.
Yeah. So this is really, and I always say to people, because people will say, oh, you know, this team, they're low ink eligible. But when you think about it, there are a bunch of Div 4s in who are low ink eligible. They just haven't won low ink yet.
Exactly.
So they're technically still kind of mid-level. Just here,
exactly.
we weren't seated accordingly in Ludi. But enough of my yapping. I'm gonna take a look at these. Yeah. I think we've been seeing more heavy in competitive play these days. What's kind of surprising to me is this range blaster. E-blaster has gotten a buff, so we're definitely seeing a lot more of that, but it's very rare that you see someone willing to go range blaster at Arc.
Yeah, it definitely is a show of mechanics, range blaster. You tend to feel very confident with it if you still play it these days. In that heavy splat lane, going to be able to help keep out so much aim, which might make the range blaster's life a little harder, but not if they're just finding all their shots. The E-leader is going to be able to set up top mid here, which is kind of a heavy splat lane's worst nightmare. Going to make it really hard for Shadow Legion to find a way to push in.
Yes, as a splat lane player myself, though heavy edit, last thing you want is a sort of charger that can just look at you and somehow Shadow Legion has just ripped through Chud Ruin's defenses like paper. It seemed like they had such a great position, of course, having their leader in that top mid, and yet they practically just walked in and took it.
Yeah, the 52 gal doing an excellent job of using the map geometry and their splash wall to find the space to do that. A great trade coming out from the blasters there. Right now, trade's definitely in the favor of Shadow Legion with how much control they have, taking away points. And I love this Reslider coming out, able to find that pick. And now this Red Ringer is going to be able to just work on laying paint down and finding yet another. Chud Ruin's going to have a really hard time breaking back out here, even with just the 52 gal and heavy splatling up.
Yes, it's going to be 2 up, so the heavy just going to get picked out from behind a Reslider to kind of keep themselves alive, and they, like a wave, just sort of carry that mid with Oguri Cap taking that flank on the heavy. So now they've dropped down from the dome, making their hold a little bit less oppressive, but it's up to Shadow Legion to not only figure out how to break out of here, but figure out how to do so without staggering, because a stagger here is truly lethal.
A stagger definitely could, and they're doing an excellent job of breaking through without it. And these guys looking to poke over here on this right side, finding a great pick and just doing a good job of helping hold neutral, not overextending, letting their Gal player run around, taking advantage of the mobility of the shooter and the aggression of the blaster to keep that locked down and give their teammates time to get in. But Chud Ruin's going to try and find a way to break this hold.
Yes, those missiles are coming out, and they're kind of like the chumps from before. You send out the missiles, everybody gets displaced, they move back, and you take what is rightfully yours. You see they're set up in mid, they have that wave breaker active as well. And really, right now, it's about getting your picks. Otter does just that, getting that, and as a blaster, trusting their team to be able to paint over Rocco, who is trying to do this contest and stall for their team to get in.
Which, to be fair, one of the strengths of heavy splatling is being able to do that. They're looking to break in through this hill area here, going to be able to find one and able to call out that Dapple before they're able to do any more damage. That's going to be the zone flipping. That's Shadow Legion putting them in a really great position for the rest of this game. They need to make sure they don't overextend here, but it looks like that 52 gal has never heard the word and it has that flow aura state in space.
Nintensio must have seen when their heavy got flanked last time and said no, never again, but unfortunately goes down to a stray bomb. So Otter has that top right, they're tracking it, go straight after, I think, for, who is that, Rocco there, and in the meantime, once again, they take this zone, and honestly, 30s can be deceptively low as a penalty, especially on a place like here. You have that choke point everyone has to get through, and that's what causes the stagger a lot of the time. So this left zone going to be neutralized and punished, and I think we keep going along with Chud Ruin's team.
We do. Chud Ruin's doing a really great job there on their defense, not going down to that Reef Slider, spacing really well from that Dreadbringer, and hitting that direct from Otter. Made a huge difference there. They're through their penalty. They don't need to hold for long, and it feels like Shadow Legion might be rushing in, grasping at straws to find a way. The Reef Slider doesn't go off. I don't know how they break back in time. It looks like this is going to be game.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough time, especially because they don't have specials. So Chud Ruin's going to take this first game pretty handily at the end there. I feel like once they got their rhythm, just setting up and getting their picks, it really worked out for them, especially because at the end there, Nox, I feel like they easily could have tried to get a nastier lockout moved up into the enemy court there, but they showed a really great amount of restraint, just sort of holding that choke and staying in zone.
They did. They did an excellent job of not overextending, knowing where their weapons want to set up, where their weapons thrive, and how they want to go about it, which is so great to see. Shows a lot of composure, and it felt like Shadow Legion just didn't know how to break into that and how to really force them out of the positions that they wanted to be in. And that makes such a big difference. And Chud Ruins looked really great there at the end.
Yeah, and speaking of making a big difference, getting that first win in a best of 3
yes,
is huge, because of course, like we saw last time around, you, at worst case scenario, you get into the second game, you lose it, but then you get the final counter pick, so you're just at this massive advantage in terms of picking the flow of the rest of the set. So Chud Ruins having that under their belt definitely sets them up for success here. But
it definitely does. There we go. As it goes sometimes.
Ooh, I feel like it's like a prediction.
It is like a prediction.
Like a subtle way to be like,
We're gonna see another game 3 here, I think.
And apparently Shadow Legion's gonna win.
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe Pop
it's
like,
what
his third eye, and it's like, this is what's happening.
It's always an option, and it's so exciting to see how things go and what things are going to be. I think you want to try and counterpick a non-E-leader map here, especially if you're Shadow Legion running that heavy splatling. Definitely not wanting to go to something like a museum. I don't think that's in our map list here. No, it is. It's for Clam Blitz and Rainmaker. I remember. But yeah, you don't really want to go to a museum here.
I feel like certainly.
We just were at Umami.
Oh, not Umami. Sorry, Urchin.
I don't see Urchin on the map list for this month.
Oh, wow.
But it is definitely where you'd want to take the E-leader.
I'm taking that E-leader to Urchin anytime, and that's why in a tourney where there are strikes and bans, Urchin just keeps getting banned frame 1. Nobody wants to go there, give up their backline. Just like you were saying, just about everyone's running a backline. Heavy works fine on Urchin.
I'd say Crystringer it does too. It feels like it's just the Chargers enemy.
True. But everybody, they're just so Charger built these days.
You know, and they should get over it.
Yes! We should get over Chargers. Signed a Splatling player.
And a Truckstringer player. We've
had enough. What about us?
You know, Tri-Stringer's seeing more play. I'll take it. Heavy seeing more play. Sorry that Edit isn't. My apologies there.
What? I feel like not Edit though. Y'all stay safe. Well, the pick has come in. It is going to be Rainmaker on Undertow Spillway, which is, I'd argue, a really strong counter pick to leader.
I'd agree. And also, Chargers have a hard time keeping up with the pace of Rainmaker or Clam Blitz. Always been common counter picks to take strong Charger players there because it's not their space. It's not their speed as much. Tower control zones move at a very set speed, and if you think you can outpace the other team, yeah, take them to Rainmaker.
Yeah, especially, I mean, when you think about the call-outs for a stage, right? And what each space is called, there's Snipe. And Snipe is where typically you're going to have your backline or your charger going to be, because it's just, it's usually high ground, it's a really good position, and you can't just sit on Snipe all day. when you're in Rainmaker. You have to constantly be moving. But I think we're going to see a switch in that Sea Blaster instead on the Luna Blaster. So they're going to have an Ultra Stamp before pop. I think they have a back on the 96, yeah.
Yes. Very interesting. Definitely two big winners of this patch, the Luna Blaster Neo and the 96 Gal. Very exciting to get to see. And that Inkback coming out nice and early, looking to find a way to pressure Shadow Legion's back. Their teammates not quite able to find the space to work with, and a great Reef Slider coming out to be a disruption and a quick checkpoint grab. Great attention to detail there from that 52 Gal, seeing the opportunity, and now sharking in quite a dangerous position. Not quite able to find what they need from it.
I would argue the cojones on them to just take it to that rare right checkpoint, looking down the face of an Eevee. But it worked out for them clearly. I think that's going to be a reslider that takes out two people at once. So they just have to clean that last person up, but they do it way too late. They're not going to get the easy checkpoint that they were looking for. And Oguri Cap is going to go down to Nintesio, who gets their Flow Aura from all of those picks they got. So that push going to be shut down like nothing.
And the Flow Aura from that 52 Gal being taken away, but nobody's painted over here on this left side. They do manage to find a pick on the Rainmaker. They don't notice the flank quickly enough from Oguri Cap. Not able to find the pick in time. The Dreadringer left in a brutal situation. The Dapple going to be able to move forward quite quickly here. And we're going to need to see Shadow Legion regroup very quickly, lay down turf, and Rocco not get picked off in the process as a flank has come out from Intensio on that 52 Gal. One of the things it really shines out.
Yeah, very unfortunate to have their leader go down. I feel like Oguri Cap is trying to set themselves up for a really good push, maybe onto the heavy.
Oh, they don't know.
A lot more difficult, but
they found it.
They knew. I fear. Unfortunately, but in the meantime, I think Shadow Legion picks this up again, ekes out a few extra points just to make things a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, it makes it so that Chud Ruins would have to get past the checkpoint. Makes a big difference since they haven't even cleared it yet. 2.5 minutes left in this game. We're going to see Shadow Legion probably still looking to push, probably wanting to go down that offense is the best defense kind of line of thought with how fast their comp wants to move. Intensio sharking underneath here, looking for the moment to pop out. Another jump coming in, the Reslider coming out to create some chaos. Some picks coming out on either side, but it's a pretty neutral situation still right now.
Yeah, it seems as though it's always just very difficult for them to find the requisite picks that they need to really get a solid push going. Unfortunately, that Kraken a little bit wasted, not able to really find anything, much less take space, and ultimately goes down in a trade. It's just going to be Oguri Cap, at least it was just Oguri Cap until they got this nasty wipeout. And now Shadow Legion looking once again to employ all of that offense to try and get more points.
Yeah, and I really like what Edusky, this Luna Neo, has been doing throughout this game, using their Fizzy Bombs really well, but not quite able to find the moment to pop the Ultra Stamp there. If they had found the moment, it probably would have been wild, but Nintensio gonna make it wild anyway. Sitting in this shark, waiting for the Rainmaker, popping out at the perfect moment, finding 1, 2, 3, 4. Incredible there, incredible shark from Nintensio. Just truly amazing to see.
Crazy, and now they have the Flow Aura and they have their special. Those whales are going to come out. That's super helpful for trying to get those extra points, and ultimately they get it down to a 13, making Chud Ruin's job even more difficult. It's increasingly looking like Top Gun may be right with this game 3. Seeing as though, look, Chud Ruins haven't even gotten their first checkpoint, so we are in the final minute of play, and they have quite a lot that they have to get done.
Yeah, and really Shadow Legion is doing a great job of locking down mid every time. Nintensio going for yet another flank, it seems. Rocco gonna pop this Rainmaker, keep moving it forward. There's still 30 seconds left. There's not a need to truly just sit in mid here. It's a hard map to stall on. And so we are going to see a grab. I imagine they're going to take it over to this bottom left, looking to find a way to survive with it for just a little bit longer. Not going to be going for too long now, but Rocco doing an excellent job with movement and stalling. 15 seconds to go. Shadow Legion has a lot of the map painted and ready for them. it's going to be really hard for Chud Ruins to find a push here. In fact, might not be enough.
Oh. Yes, not to mention they didn't grab it fast enough.
I think to grab it.
Yeah, if you want to trigger that OT, you don't get it for free. You gotta grab the Rainmaker. I think, I could be wrong. It may have been, was it the 96 who was in that corner? I think they had back. So they were hoping that somebody else would pick up, but no one was near. So I think they kind of cognitive function realized too late. We just gotta pick that up. I'm gonna have to be the one to pick up. I get it. Sometimes I'm the cooler player. I've got a cooler ready to go, but I'm the only one. Everyone's back there, and I'm like, okay, sure. You have your special, and you're like, can somebody else please? But you gotta do what you gotta do. And what you had to do was trigger overtime.
And they were so close. They were holding it there at the end. But the timer does not care about that in the slightest. And I imagine Chud Ruins will want to go to a tower control here just because they did so well on zones with that more set pace.
Yeah, not to mention, they are the ones with the E-leader. No?
Yes, they are the ones with the E-leader.
So I feel like tower control, at least when I queue up, whenever I'm up against a leader, I'm mad about it. Because I feel like leader is just about, it's all about aim, essentially. If they can find you and their aim is good enough, then you're done. And when you're on tower, they know exactly where you are.
Yes.
It's just
they do have to take a 50-50.
Could you be somewhere else, or are you on the actively moving tower?
Are you on the left or right side of the tower? Which one have you selected?
Both. They put off their shot. They didn't get you. They've got another shot ready to go. They're gonna try again, and all the while you're just dancing on tower, hoping that they don't explode you. So, you know, of the legal places, where would you take Shadow Legion?
You know, just because I haven't seen Hagglefish Market in a hot minute, it wouldn't shock me to see them want to take them there. E-Leader does really well there. It doesn't have the issue for zones that you have with Heavy Splatling. Heavy Splatling really good at solo holding this zone. Doesn't matter so much for tower control. The E-Leader also has really great places to stand throughout the whole game. Admittedly, this is not a stage where you want your charger player on the tower.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call, seeing as though, yeah, it just sets up your E-Leader really well up against that heavy Splatling. I think you're going to try and put them at a bit of a disadvantage, and I think when they have to, the heavy Splatling is likely going to be on the tower, and it's going to be difficult for them to really defend themselves. So something open like that, but of course you risk the fact that quite a few tower places can be snowbally, none maybe more than Shipshape, but Hagglefish is up there as well. So you're gonna really have to make sure that you're on your A game, and maybe they have us open in another top.
You know, they could. They could. It wouldn't be the first time I've heard of players doing such a thing. But it'll be interesting to see how this goes. It is definitely a really good E-Leader stage. The Heavy Splatling will have a really hard time playing into them here, and will pretty much be stuck on paint duty if the Heavy Splatling is still around, which we'll find out.
Someone's got the Wendy's Wi-Fi, I fear.
Yeah, sometimes you're on that Wendy's Wi-Fi. Sometimes you're on that college Wi-Fi, and it's even worse. That's definitely a replay, though. We are going to be seeing that Heavy Splatling stick around. The E-Leader makes sense. No major changes that we were able to see there. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And hopefully there aren't more DC issues, but you never know.
Truly. It's so funny because a lot of the time it's kind of like, this college Wi-Fi. My college had great Wi-Fi.
My college did not.
I would I dread going home because I'm like, I'm gonna start DCing with my terrible Wi-Fi at home. But I go to school, I never dropped out, I never lagged.
Yeah, my college had really bad Wi-Fi, and one of our big struggles was they had gotten rid of the wired connection the year before I started.
Oh,
which that felt cruel and personal.
You specifically.
Yeah, it was about me specifically. The whole Smash team there didn't petition about it at all.
Oh, looking at the bracket we have in front of us, I think the GOAT in the what I'm going to assume is room. Or maybe just like Chud Ruins, it's literally ellipsy. The GOAT in the row. They have beaten Let That Sink In and dropped them down to the losers bracket. So despite that that strong showing we saw last time around, they're going to have to fight their way through that losers bracket as well. But we are back!
Well, yes, we are. Hopefully, well, we've loaded in much quicker this time, so we're looking good. The Forge Splattershot Pro coming out from the side of Chud Ruins here, giving them that Booyah Bomb, giving them a GG special. Nothing like that coming out from Shadow Region right now. Shadow Legion, my apologies. Can't blame them for that, but it should be a very interesting game to see how this E-Leader and Heavy go about dealing with each other.
One thing about me, I know my weapon pool sounds funky, and that's because it is. I love a Forge Splattershot Pro, and I'm happy that it's seeing more play these days, especially in Tower. I see a lot of people want to go with the Frozen Pro here. But like you mentioned, it has that GG special as well as that suction bomb, denying people who want to get onto the tower. So working out in their favor so far. 2 of their members down, so that's going to stop them in their tracks. But down to a 76, approaching that first checkpoint, not bad.
Yeah, approaching that first checkpoint, not quite able to find it. Shadow Legion doing a great job of finding the moment to move forward, launching into it, and now jumping around as needed. With those specials ready, it looks like they're going to be able to clear this checkpoint here, especially with so many of them up on the flat.
Yeah, I think that's just about a delayed wipe out. So they just cruise past this first checkpoint, and now I think that this second checkpoint, we were talking about how snowbally it is. Once you break through that second checkpoint, it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to stop that push, because you have that top right, or at least you usually do. Currently they do not. It's going to be the slosher that's there, but a well-placed bomb is going to force a wipeout and get them out before they're able to keep continuing. Really well placed.
It was incredibly well placed. Great awareness there on the side of Chud Ruins to place it there. And now we're going to be seeing them looking to set up a push, but someone got in behind, found a double. Forge still up, but now going to have to find a way to win a fight against 2. The Reef Slider coming out, weakening them. Edu Sky cleaning up the kill. And just an excellent flank that came out from Shadow Legion there to force Chud Ruins back onto the back foot.
I was like, buddy, jump out that Forge. Feeling they were really courageous to stay there, but unfortunately they do end up going down. And we are in the same position that we saw before that bomb ended everything. Shadow Legion is in the position for lockout once again. They're even taking the top right, where this is such an oppressive place. The leader can't find anywhere to stand. We have that Reef Slider as well, and especially because it's just a leader, at least it was. That's going to be a pretty solid knockout there for Shadow Legion. Popgun was right. We went to the game 3, and it was Shadow Legion that took it.
As Popgun often is. Really great games there from both teams. Exactly. Exactly, as they say. And it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this day goes. Still lots of Splatoon to keep going through. And I'm very intrigued to see who we'll see come back later on in the day.
Yes, we've gotten to the second game 3. Hopefully there are more game 3s to happen. I think we're going to go to a break. No.
No, we're good. Yeah. Yeah.
No, we're not. Sorry, break likers.
Nobody likes breaks. That's a joke. That's a joke people make.
You know, maybe they're like, because you know how it's always like, go get a snack, you know.
No snacks. Preparing them for North American League.
Learn to multitask. Get the snack while you're listening.
Exactly. Exactly. Why would you? That's what your phone speakers are for.
Go ahead and put that AirPod in.
Exactly.
While you go get your snack.
Exactly. You don't have wireless headphones yet? Wild.
That's a you problem. Just take your phone with you.
Exactly.
If you're wired, listen. Because some people, they lose their AirPods.
And that's so understandable. Same.
So you just, my dad's like that, but also my dad's in his 60s. So
well, I'm similar
you're
to a
better than my
60-year-old
dad.
in many ways.
Right? Just inside. But
Exactly.
I think it's going to be, we're looking at that bracket here. We're at that lower bracket here in some of the semifinals. Oro versus Crushing 20s.
Yeah. It has not been the roaring 20s.
Yeah, these are the Crushing 20s. I didn't even recognize that was probably the joke. They are not roaring,
sure.
they're crushing us.
They are, and we're going to be starting on Splatzone's Robo-Roman. Always a fun one. Everyone likes it. Lots of flanks to go through. Not that we often see them as capitalized on as they should be. I've yet to see an anchor that does badly here. I did see somebody play Torrent's Hydra Splatling on it last night, but that was tower control.
Oh.
And strange.
That is strange. I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose, you know, there are some...
Big Bubbler's useful.
Oh, that one? Okay.
Yeah, that one.
Fair. I, believe it or not, I play a little Hydra. But the bubble... You're
How
like,
a commentator or TO plays anchor or support? Wow. Revolutionary.
Yeah.
That's all.
I used to be a player, and now I sit around and I paint.
I was a Splattershot Junior one trick for 5 years.
Oh my gosh!
I
How
freed
did
myself.
You free yourself? Yes!
I got bored eventually, and I did it in Splatoon 2, so I was freed by Splatoon 3.
I was a Vunder main.
Oh, I respect that. Kunder was so fun.
Getting to X rank just on splashdowns, main power up, and a dream.
Look, it works. I don't know.
What?
My highest XP was like 2450 with Junior in Splatoon 2. That was an okay power in Splatoon 2, guys. I know it's bad in Splatoon 3.
Well, I feel like early Splatoon 3, people up there, because it was so brutal. I think now they have caps on how far you can fall.
I believe so.
For the most part. So
I hope.
Just drop 300 if you're like a... That is the of someone who felt that in Splatoon 2.
Sometimes it was one game and you dropped 50 points. And they just did that to you. And if you were higher up, it could be like 100. Yeah, you could literally get +0. If you've only played Splatoon 3, be grateful for the ranked system.
Yeah, I mean... It's interesting because the rank system has its own problems. I feel like, especially if you're at lower elo, which wouldn't be allowed in Splatoon 2.
Yes, that's true. That's also
1700 is a godless land.
It really is, and it's inescapable somehow.
I think that once you're that low, they want to keep you that low, so they find the most ridiculous people they can find and stack them all on your team. So it's like quicksand, low elo.
It feels like it. It feels like it. Because the moment you get above 2000, the game's like, oh, it's so playable now. I can win forever.
Here are real people.
But if they place you in 1700, it's over. You haven't played for a couple months, you place in 1700, take me out back.
D-rank to B, and try
Genuinely.
And I've done it. I've gotten a low elo and played one game and said I'm not doing that.
That's smart. I should do that rather than being stubborn about it.
I feel like it's like the way I just go, was it that bad? And then I queue in, I play one game. And it's weird because it's worse than open. Low elo X is worse than open.
Oh, by so much. And it's so much worse than series if you've gotten an okay series power, too. It's wild. Maybe the secret is to grind series power. Maybe there's a secret option that nobody wants to admit.
That's the thing, is I think that, like, low elo, at the very least, that's why half the time you find me in open, you find me in series, because if I get unlucky enough that I don't, I finish my calc, I've lost too many games, I've DC'd, or something like that, so I have an auto loss on my calc.
Sometimes you go 4-1 in your calcs, and they still send you to 1700
Yep.
land. Why do they do that?
They don't care. It's pretty cruel. But at the very least,
Placements should be 10 games again.
Right?
That's a joke. No, I think that's bad also.
Please, I'm good. I'm good at the game, I promise.
Give me one more chance, please.
I've gone
we're
5-0
finally
and put me
getting
below
into
2000. Like, you know, this game needs me, but I love the game. And speaking of the game, we're ready.
That's
Is that a bucket deco?
No.
Okay.
But that's a Milky Way and comp if I've ever seen it from Crushing 20.
Very true. We'll see how that ends up working out for them. Once again, we do see that Splatter Shot Pro. I love to see it. I feel like on zones, you tend to see the Frozen Pro, but I think both are really good here, especially because Robo Ramen has this choke point in this elbow, and throwing a Booyah Bomb there and displacing everyone can be really helpful.
It really can. It's so effective. So is Reach Fire for a similar reason. But you do put your life a little more on the line. And Oro does get punished for it, but it cleared so much space for their teammates that they are just able to keep pushing forward. The Zap doing an excellent job painting up, allowing their teammates to move around as needed, and their Charger not hesitating to take a pretty strong position at times.
Yeah, which is especially interesting because this being the V Charger, they didn't even necessarily have their back ready. Sometimes you see people acting really bold, and then you realize it's because they have a splashdown, because they have a back or something to that extent. So being in that aggressive position, really good on them, but all the while, Crushing 20s have gotten their way back into mid and stopped Oro from that really strong push that they had.
Yeah, and now they're looking to move forward, but not overextending in the process, acknowledging the strength that Oro has shown, and looking to find the right moments to take their fights, not rushing in without specials, but the Reef Slider comes out again, finds one, Starman tries to follow up, able to find the splashdown pick, and now we're seeing Oro back in pretty solid control, capitalizing on the space they've gained, and playing these team fights really well, always trying to get 2v1s whenever they can.
Kind of sad because I think that's why Crushing 20s was playing so careful. We saw that, I saw that they had their back and their Reef Slider. So they're like, I don't want to get run over by a Reef Slider, but really good trick shot here from Nathan. I think just gonna shoot that back by the Charger there. And all the while, they're setting themselves up. Once again, they weren't being so aggressive last time, but this time they're looking for this knockout. So they have the lead, they have what they need, and a lot of good picks to move, especially with these tri-strikes. They're in really good position.
Yeah, they are. Really incredible job, really great special timing, enabling them to get where they need to get, and that Totally player doing a great job of dodging and dashing around, finding where their teammates need them, and being a great distraction. But the back coming out, they're trying to find this zone in the last few seconds. The Ink back shot coming out, able to flip the zone. Not going to be enough to get them a hold, but enough to keep them in the game for now.
Yes, that's gotta be annoying if you're Crushing 20s. So close to the knockout yet so far away, and so they're going to incur this large penalty. But they're making their way through it so far. They have a crab in their elbow, active here as well. That Reef Slider is going to cancel it out, however, but it feels like ever since then, Oro hasn't been able to put them in neutral again. That stopping them from knocking out was just a bit of damage control, and they're not able to get into mid.
Yeah, it does feel like they're struggling to. They have a little bit of time left to work with. They find another cap, but the brutal thing for Oro right now is Crushing 20s just needs to keep reapplying penalty points. They just need small caps, and with triple Ink Strike and Booyah Bomb, they can force those whenever they want. They really need to make sure that they're able to focus. Oro needs to make sure that they're able to focus on taking down that Slosher and that Forge Pro to even try and get a good hold in.
Yeah, that's been the issue here. Their holds have been a little bit flimsy. They get the zone back, but at what cost? 3 of their members are down. It's just going to be that Dreadringer who's trying desperately to keep that elbow, but they have to jump out. It's just not worth it at the end of the day. And you see Crushing 20s, they're all over that. They're in the choke, dodge rolling, wheeling and dealing. And finally, they are once again here. And although, luckily for them, this is post-patch Reef Slider, and it's not able to take that zone once again.
Yeah, much more lethal, much less painting, which goods and bads to both. It definitely has reduced the number of Dreadringers we see, which, quite frankly, I'm not going to complain about seeing less Dreadringers in low.
I'm in agreement.
I respect you, Dreadringer players, but you do one thing. Not anymore. You did one thing. Now you're adventurous, and I respect you.
Now you're largely on another weapon. A lot of the people have just abandoned it, unfortunately. But you're a real one if you stuck with it. But unfortunately, not going to help them here in this best of 5. Crushing 20s really does crush in this first game. It was looking even, but at a certain point, I feel like it was kind of oppressive. Really good work.
I very much so agree. And I feel like one of the things that really helps them out, or maybe it's not something they're doing, but it wouldn't shock me if they are, because that's Moonlight's comp. Not Moonlight, sorry, Milky Way's comp.
Milky Way.
Yeah, two space themes. It hurts my brain.
Right. And then in the finals, and then...
Exactly. But since they're running Milky Way's comp, they have a lot of really great footage to work from and learn from, and a lot of their positioning there wasn't exactly the same as what Milky Way does, unsurprisingly, but there were definitely inspos taken, and that can make such a big difference in having VODs to watch, that you can see top teams, top players doing what your weapons ideally like to do.
I think it's also helpful because obviously they run it because it's just a well-rounded comp.
It's a bunch of weapons that function super well individually and do fine together. So if you have good individual players, it'll work out usually.
Yeah, like none of these members are like wanting for paint and it's like, oh, we don't have that or anything like that. They're all very self-sufficient and they can help each other out. The counter pick from Oro is going to be Clam Blitz Scorch Gorge, which Clam Blitz Scorch Gorge, at the end of the day, I feel like you end up seeing a lot of counter pushes due to how small that mid is. In most Clam Blitz stages, people just kind of throw themselves at the basket and they're like, I don't care if I go down as long as I get all the clams I'm holding into the basket.
You are. It's so important in Clam Blitz and in Rainmaker to make sure you're never really getting wiped out, because losing mid is so consequential. And we're seeing a very similar comp coming out here from Crushing 20s. No surprises there. It went well for them. But the switch to the Tri-Slosher Nouveau is interesting from Oro.
Yes. Did they have a zap? What were they running?
They did. They were running a zap before.
Well, perhaps I'm thinking that it might be the Fizzy that they're looking towards.
And the cooler.
Yes, I think like coming off of Zap and still wanting that cooler, perhaps it's helpful to be able to Fizzy for a push. But I think that Tri-Slosher found a little bit flat-footed and in the wrong because while you're fighting people in mid, Crushing 20s is already at the basket and already past that 60-point mark.
Yeah, really great job there. I always love to see teams get below that 60-point mark. I've said it about 2 bajillion times. And Crushing 20 is going to be needing to look for a way to make sure they don't lose mid here, and doing quite well at that.
Yes, the fact that they weren't staggering after losing those 2 people in the Reef Slider is really strong work, but ultimately they are still running that back. That's going to be super helpful. Usually you have your backline hold it, but being able to just kind of chuck it forward and back is going to make it very helpful, because you see they have a pretty strong hold on this push so far. They 2 of them go down, but they were in spinning distance of possibly taking that lead, but not going to happen. They stopped there at 59. At least it's past 60 though.
That's true. And really great job here from Crushing 20s, finding quick openings, coming back into mid, but not able to really establish a foothold. Triple ink strikes coming out here from Tone Warrior, looking to help find space for their teammates to move forward. But Oro doing a great job of regaining control of mid and looking to find another push here.
I gotta say, maybe those tri-strikes a little earlier, maybe a little bit wasted. Aside, it doesn't necessarily have to find those picks, but I feel like they already kind of had mid for those to be drawn out. Ultimately, that is the last person that's left. They do get the pick and the flow aura, but they're picked off, so ultimately maybe it doesn't matter all that much. And all the while, Crushing 20s are just kind of playing footsie a little bit in this mid. They don't have the clam economy to have a solid push in yet, but hopefully they're working on it, seeing as though they have the clams to do so. They just have to transfer them properly.
I mean, that transference can take a little bit longer than you'd want sometimes. Crushing 20s not able to find the push this time. Oro back up in time with a reef slider, with a vacuum. Going to be a hard time until they find those picks. But one player going down, two down. This is Crushing 20's chance.
And here come the tri-strikes, forcing everybody out from under their own basket. The vac is active, and on the other side, there's that splashdown. Nathan doing a really good job of surviving that. I saw a Fizzy getting thrown as well, and all the while, 3 members down for Oro. That is devastating, and I think that is going to be the game as well. Crushing 20s once again.
Doing a great job. They know what they want to do. They know how their comp wants to do it. They're really good at taking the opportunities they get, and they've been doing an excellent job at not getting fully wiped out and finding those moments.
Yes, I think just really big ups for them. I feel like they're understanding the state of the game really well, when it's time to push, what they can get away with. And that's helping them just do so well here. Oro, I feel like I'm seeing some players sometimes overextending, sometimes out of position, versus Crushing 20s have really solid teamwork that I'm seeing out of them. And their gameplay is just very tight. I think I'm wondering what Oro is going to pick for a counter pick now that Clam Blitz Scorch Gorge went really poorly. Because there's not really any clear... There's a reason why Milky Way kind of runs what they do. There's not really many... like, what are you counter picking for? The pen?
Which is rough, because you also want to make sure that the duelie isn't able to get in constant flanks. You want to make sure that the slosher isn't finding those really great opportunities to line up with the Snipe Rider. There's just so many things that work so cohesively in that comp. The numbers line up. The weapons can move around so freely, and it makes it really challenging. And the support from... And I know it's weird to call a Splattershot Pro a support, but in these days it often kind of is. And it works really well at helping to enable the bucket and the dualies.
Now, when you're looking at what you're going to counterpick to, I'd imagine they try to stay away from tower, on paper at the very least, because they're looking down a Booyah and triple ink strikes. But you
don't want to go back to zones. And if Clam Blitz didn't go well, I don't know that you want to go to a Rainmaker.
I think this is a bit of a Hail Mary pick. It is going to be tower ship shape.
You know, close enough. It's close enough. You know, they're both snowbally in very different ways.
Ship place.
Yeah, ship map is ship map. We should, you know, maybe it would be good for them to have to learn how to play Search and Shipyard.
Listen, I don't want to play on either of those.
Yeah.
Same thing, whatever. Tower ship, like we said earlier on, probably the most snowbally tower stage, I'd argue, in the entire game. It doesn't get...
That we play in comp? Absolutely.
Yeah, that we... Wait. What's worse?
What? Give me a second to look at all of the maps.
I feel like I need
I'm
to look
so
up all
confident that there's something that upsets me more.
This is the only one I guess I have to play. Chances are, if it's that bad and I see it in solo queue, I just won't queue up.
Exactly.
So
it's not like Splatoon. I think Robo Roman might be worse for Snowball once you're past that second checkpoint.
Well,
but I think there's
there, so I'm just like, I'm having a ball.
That's so real of you. That's so real. It's why I don't play that stage and mode combination. No surprises here. Yeah, I don't like the sound clash blast grenades. It's a weird issue.
Yeah, and that's not crazy either. Fair enough.
But we're seeing same comp out of Crushing 20s.
Oro switching back off of that Tri-Slosher, back to the Zap, something a bit more conventional. And of course they have that Sea Blaster. Hopefully that's going to help them with clearing tower as well as the blaster itself after that AoE. But both of these teams, they got a scuffle right off the top to get the space and the pick so that they feel comfortable going forward. But so far, it looks like neither team is quite going to get it.
Yeah, it's oftentimes this map has a slow start and a fast finish. It's definitely a lot of beating to build the momentum, but it looks like Crushing 20s has already found it because this checkpoint's the one to break, and they are about to. They have Tri-Strikes at the ready, they have Crab just about. They can really stagger these specials to keep this push just continuously flowing, but the 2 picks coming out, gonna shut it down quickly. Maybe they held on to those specials for a second too long.
Yes, they're coming out now. I think Starman just dodging those Tri-Strikes, Tone Warrior, maybe knowing in this 2v1 they're not in a great place, but they allow Nathan to take that tower in the meantime, and especially because they have their Booyah, but the back is active and they just barely not Booyah the place where the back is, but down to 15. If they're able to hold this, we might be seeing a knockout coming soon.
We definitely could. It seems like Uro is doing a pretty decent job of getting back towards mid, though. They have that triple splashdown at the ready. Not necessarily a special you want to rely on. Starman having to jump back. And Crushing 20 is just looking so dominant throughout this set and doing such an excellent job of playing into this comp. And look at this pinch that the Snipe Rider and Slosher have been creating.
Oh my gosh, that's just going to be it here. We saw the snowball firsthand. I think we already called that this may have been a bit of a poor choice taking a team like Crushing 20s to tower, given the specials they have, the weapons that they have. Forge is practically tailor-made for tower as well, so they hedged their bets and unfortunately didn't work out so well for them.
Yeah, I mean, and it didn't go the way they wanted, obviously. Crushing 20s also just looked so strong. They knew what they wanted to do. They knew how they wanted to go about it, and it was amazing to see.
Well, this is a huge day for you break likers. We are going to be going to a short break, so I was gonna say don't you go anywhere. Go ahead and go wherever it is you want to go. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Low Ink. We're going to be getting into winners finals here for April 2026. Once again, I'm Nox, joined here by Sasu, and it's been an exciting day so far.
Yes, it has. We've seen a lot of game threes, though
well, we've seen a lot of game threes.
3 games. You know, one set with 3 games, which, like, close enough. But I think this is going to be winners bracket finals, if I'm not mistaken. The GOAT in the room versus crushing 20s. That's like a, what is it? Like immovable force versus
unstoppable object.
Unstoppable force versus immovable object. The GOAT versus crushing 20s, like those just seem so powerful.
They do. They do.
We'll see who comes out on top.
And we're going to start off on a classic that actually didn't show up once during the North American League last night somehow. Hagglefish Zone.
What?
I
know. Didn't even notice that. That is crazy.
They were
wow.
There was Mahi Rainmaker, but God forbid we play Hagglefish Zones.
Honestly, I think they were doing us a favor.
Truly. I don't,
like,
it doesn't fill me with rage like Mako Mart though, so it's fine.
At the Hagglefish, it was played a lot in global gauntlet qualifiers, and one team banned it because we were just so sick. We were sick of it. So for us, I think this is a really good sort of mutual starting point for both of these teams, because any competitive team should at the very least know how to tackle Haggle.
Yeah, they should. And I think the Carbon and Impact combo here from Goats in the Room is really interesting. I think it should work really well for them if they can get that Impact and Carbon lined up together, which it looks like they will here. The triple Ace breaks coming out, the Booyah Bomb getting, I think, absorbed. And this back's going to allow them to try and keep the zone, but it's not going to be enough as the Crushing 20s just breaks through what their attempted push.
Yeah, very unfortunate. I think that if you're going to be back, you really need to secure those kills, because the back player can't really do anything other than backing for that entire time. So Cow going to kind of make the rounds, see what they can get, and all the while their plan is just set up getting that cooler for their teammates. So maybe they actually can pick those up and move up a little bit more, but the Zuka being popped and getting a pick, 2 of those members down for crushing 20s, handily gives the zone point to the Goat.
Yeah, the Dooley finding a great double there. The Goat in the Room looking to rush forward, but the Kraken coming out to disrupt it all. Coming over to the pencil, forcing them out of position. Able to find this jump. Brutal. Booyah Bomb caps the zone. Crushing 20s back in control, but we're looking at a pretty back and forth game so far.
Yes, it feels like the Goat in the Room, they're being pushed out, but they may be down, but they're certainly not out, especially with this back. This is a really good backwork we're seeing here. I think they're doing a good job of making sure that their teammates are protected and able to get the picks that they need. But I think it just feels like a battle of the specials. The vac comes out, the tri-strikes come out, the Zuka comes out. It's just a whole lot happening at once.
It is. Both of these teams ready to play at a breakneck pace. Keep it up, keep it moving. The Carbon managing to find a trade there, as they are so prone to doing. And Big New looking to go forward, finds one, doesn't find the second. But this should be a zone flip for the Goat in the Room.
Yes, and now they're moving forward, but Tao up on this top left on a bit of an off angle to see what they can get. Not quite gonna find much, and I think the Goat in the Room is able to kind of hold on to that zone. And right now, rather than getting picks, we have a bit of a fight of everyone trying to take control over that zone. The Crab is going to be striked, not quite gonna get the pick, however, and once again, we're kind of deferring to the specials. The comes out, this 1v1 Tone Warrior activates this Flow Aura, the vac is out, lot going on here.
I mean, it's great to see the specials being used at such impactful times. The VAC doing an excellent job of really staving off the push there from Crushing 20s. The zone gets flipped back. Lead has switched over to the Goat in the Room, and Carbon finds one, looks for a second. But even finding that trade really slows down the pace the Crushing 20s can move forward at.
Yes, So they move forward. Cow once again moving forward, but not able to pop that bracket. I'm sure that was part of their design to make sure that they got that back down. But Nathan picking up from where they left off, activating the flow aura, but immediately getting canceled out by that pen. We have a pen v pen firefight, but they back off. They say, I just want to get this lead. I don't want any of that mess. Crab looking to just get the pick, and because they went down on zone, they painted for them to put it in neutral.
Yeah, it's why it's so important to not really hang out in zone when you don't need to, because it does result in a lot of extra pain that you don't necessarily want there. Vac coming out to secure the GOAT in the room's forward momentum. Not going to be able to find Ton Warrior with it. Ton Warrior looking to rush forward, able to find one. Trip strikes come out. The dually goes down, and that's the zone flipping handily back to them, and a lot of space left open for the Crushing 20s to rush into.
Yeah, 3 members down. This is a terrible thing to happen in this last minute. Ton Warrior ultimately goes down, so that is a piece off of the chessboard to stop you from getting into it. But Daniel, always just really reliable with this back, is going to have it active, going to back the zone to take it back here with those 30 ticks of penalty. And they're trying to get that pick on Tau. I think they get the assist ultimately, but that is going to change. However, those triple ink strikes, they neutralize the zone. 2 members down, and with 14 seconds left, I don't know, it's not looking good for the GOAT in the room.
It's not looking great. They're going to struggle to find the paint they need to lay down. And we're going to see this Carbon looking to find this forward momentum, looking to find one, able to at least force the Snipe Rider away. The 96 Scout keeping paint down. The Crab Tank coming out, but they need to keep the zone painted. The Snipe Rider going to have to work overtime to do it. The Crab Tank tries to find a pick, doesn't quite manage. A flank came in. They shut down the splatter shot. They don't need to hold for much longer, but the triple ink strikes are going to make it a challenge. The 96 Scout painting alone. The zone held, but they still can't quite breathe. But so close.
Oh, wow. The
barely hanging on to that.
Wow, I did not actually think that they would get that. As you can see, the zone is in neutral, but it's down to the milliseconds at that point, especially because the jump got camped by the Booyah Bomb, but just not thrown fast enough, I fear, because the number ticked down. They get the lead there in overtime, and Hagglefish, it can be deceptive because it seems like it's not that big of a stage, but the lockout can be so bad that in an overtime situation like that, it just slips out of your hands.
But we should be looking at a very back and forth set with how that game went. What an incredible job by both of the teams there.
Yeah, especially because Crushing 20s right off the top, they were playing so aggressively.
Yes.
They were just in there like swimwear, moving up, trying to get, just like we saw last time, Crushing 20s, they really go for that knockout. They are hungry, but the GOAT in the room, clearly they were managing their specials really masterfully, especially because they're looking down a Booyah Bomb that they can cancel whenever they feel like it with that 96 and the VAC. Yeah, really back and forth, and I think these are pretty evenly matched teams, it seems.
It feels like it, and I'm really curious to see where Crushing 20s wants to take this counter pick, because we haven't seen them make one yet.
Very true. I'm wondering what is it that they're specifically good at, that they're like, maybe they've got a weird pick that they're going to do, or they might defer to something that they did particularly well at. We saw them on Tower Shipshape.
We did.
And they had a stranglehold on the tower practically the whole time, so perhaps they decide to go there, or something that's a little bit more tailored to what they specialize in.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me to see them go to something like a Humpback Pump Track Rainmaker, or any Rainmaker, quite frankly. They play so quickly that it feels like they would excel there, but they don't really run anything for quick pop, so it'll be interesting. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can be boring, I guess. That's fine.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, as much as they play fast, they are up against a VAC, right?
Yeah.
So I think if they don't have anything that they plan, anyone who switches to a VAC weapon, maybe they're just like, we don't want to go Rainmaker, we don't have to deal with that. And seeing as though they're running, let's see, Tower, they left tower due to their 2 GG specials. They have Forge, which has a good sub for it as well. Maybe that's what they're looking for, though they just have a Slosher, not necessarily running all that AoE that you tend to like to see on Mako.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting stage pick, especially into a Carbon with a little more thought, in all honesty. You don't typically want to play into a Carbon on Mako Mart, especially without a way of marking them, is a good rule of thumb.
Well, we see Tao here on the that Kraken shot to probably clear tower a little bit more aggressively, but right off the top, the Slosher going to go down, and I think this Carbon is just looking for somewhere to stand with all of that chip coming out from the pen. So Mio x Sanu just seeing what they can get right off the top.
Yeah, I mean, gotta respect it. Always gotta try for something. Not quite going great for the Goat in the room so far. Not able to find the space they need to really get some stability and maintain what they were looking for. And now we have a Slosher underneath the Goat in the room splat, which is not typically where you want the enemy Slosher.
Yeah, and crushing 20s, once again, they're crushing it. Bazookas are coming out, and they've successfully dodged all of those shots, all the while the Slosher goes down. But there are 3 specials online. They have a Kraken, a Booyah Bomb, and they retreat a little bit. I think that there's some pressure coming out of the Goat in the room, but definitely 40 right off the top is not a bad score, especially you have this Kraken. I think they're saving this Kraken specifically so they can try and get that back offline.
It feels like it, which I have to respect. It's a great way to try and counterplay into back, especially if you don't have a player comfortable switching over to a more melee type weapon like a Stamper or a Splatana. And we're seeing the Goat in the room making it to this checkpoint, looking to really find the space they need. Crab Tank doing an excellent job of clearing that space, but they don't have anyone set up on that upper left side or anyone really pushing through on right, but the Inkback will happily clear this checkpoint for them.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about this. When I was thinking of their counter picks, I was like, well, not Rainmaker because they have a back. And then I thought to myself, uh-oh. But not Tower because they might back the Tower. But what's left? Clams, which you might back as well. You're the push, so you gotta pick something. And it is going to be this, but we see why back is just so powerful. They do this right are going to kind of Hail Mary and come out and allow them to stop this push, which has gone down to 15. 2 members up on crushing 20, so they're going to have to do a lot to defend this tower, and a lot is going to come in the form of
Yeah, the Kraken coming out, causing chaos, not able to find any picks, but definitely disrupting and slowing down the tower. Downside, that gave them time to get another back, to get to this checkpoint. Carbon riding the tower, not quite able to find what they need. But every second the Goat in the room is pushing is time the crushing 20s can't be, and they keep staggering the crushing 20s so effectively and efficiently. The cooler comes out, the Carbon's on the tower, the Snipe Rider hops onto through that last checkpoint. The Julie on respawn. Finally, the crushing 20s can leave their own spawn, but they're having to paint up so much. What an incredible push there.
Yeah, I think that normally maybe the pen would have jumped out. Either they were trying to eke points or they were trying to keep the tower moving forward so it wouldn't break the cooler. So unfortunately, they do end up going down, and usually it feels like we see crushing 20s with all this aggression. They seem very cool, calm, and collected, but the fact that the Kraken was popped early instead of waiting for that back like it seems like they've been doing shows that I think they're panicking a little bit. They're on the back foot. You see all of this green, this teal, just about everywhere. There's not many places for them to stand, and despite the fact that they have these GG specials, they're not effectively slowing down the Goat in the room. They haven't even gotten past 40 since that first push.
Yeah, they haven't gotten a second push at that. We're seeing the Goat in the room doing an excellent job of locking down space, taking control, really good special timing, really great patience, and a lot of not overextending. Although this Light from Tao going to put in some good work, able to find one, able to look for a distraction for a second, hopping on the tower for a moment, and able to help clean up this Carbon, but they had to go back for that, meaning they haven't taken any more space.
Yes, taking space seems to just not in the cards for them, which is especially interesting. Seeing as though the Goat in the room, they have a Carbon. you know, a Carbon will throw everything in the kitchen sink at you just to even get a trade, but not well known for paint. So the fact that they're not able to just kind of displace the other team, and they have this Kraken and Tri-Strikes is very interesting. But all the while, they've finally gotten a good push in. They are going, Tau goes down, however, just a few points before they're able to take this lead, and it's just the Pen. The Pen has Flow Aura to take the lead at the end of the game. There's 2 seconds left. Somehow they're going to try and get this into overtime. Seems like it's probably not going to happen, but crazier
you never know.
They are on their way.
They are on their way. The Carbon's riding the tower, able to switch with the Snipe Rider. Big Noob went down. You really can't have players going down right now if you're the GOAT in the room. They have a Trizuka ready. They're going to need to displace that Pen from that far left side. The Trizuka comes out, but nobody's on tower. The trip strikes are going on. Nathan touches the tower for just a moment, and the GOAT and the Crushing 20s pulls back from the jaws of defeat for that game and takes it.
Truly, what a generational push. They were down and out for so long in that game, but perhaps that's just why they counterpicked. I think going into this, we knew that they would have the Booyah and the Tri-Strikes, and when finally the GOAT in the room were kind of making a deep run in that overtime, I was just thinking to myself, despite the fact that you have the Pen chipping at them, and it's like, you have to get rid of that Pen. I'm like, forget the Pen. You have to get rid of the Booyah Bomb holder. You have to get rid of the Slosher with the Tri-Strikes. You guys can be GG'd into oblivion, and unless you just keep wiping the other team, I think there's not really that much way to get around it. So now it's the GOAT in the room that has the counter pick.
Yeah, the GOAT in the room. I mean, like we were saying after the first game, looks like it's going to be back and forth, and it looks like it's going to be overtime pushes, apparently, which is interesting to see. And I'm intrigued to see how the GOAT in the room wants to lean into having that Carbon on their team. I'd imagine they probably end up wanting to go to a Rainmaker here, since they do like running that ink back, but they could prove me wrong.
Yeah, stranger things have happened. Not gonna lie. Many stranger picks have certainly happened. I'm inclined to think that we will also see a Rainmaker pick, and honestly, maybe a Humpback Rainmaker would be a good choice, especially for that Carbon. I find that they can have a lot of mileage with that. I think Zuka, after you get to that first check, and you're in that elbow, sometimes you're coming to clear that out, and then a Zuka is popped, and you just get taken out. So I would argue that would be a good choice for them, but what? I think they do have us open in another tab, truly, because they have picked Rainmaker Humpback.
Or we're just mind readers. It's a 50-50.
We just know the game that well.
We do, clearly. How else could this ever be interpreted? It's also kind of the list of standard stage and mode combinations so far, quite frankly.
Well, you're better than me. You have it like in front of you to check what's legal. I'm like, oh, clearly you take them to Urchin, and Urchin's not even on the list.
I keep so many tabs open at all times.
Me too. I constantly keep getting clocked. What do you mean you have more than 10 tabs? And I'm like, what do you mean you have less than 40? I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. If I can't access any information I could need at any time, what's the point?
Makes life so hard having so little tabs. Like, come on. And I don't even use the folders half the time either. They're like, do you want your tabs and folders? And I'm like, no,
absolutely not. I know where they are.
I'll find what I need. But I'm going to keep an eye out as to whether there's any changes. None coming out of the GOATs, none coming out of Crushing 20s as well. No surprise there, because I think that their comps are pretty well suited for what we're going to be doing.
I would agree there. And I did notice that somebody is running Last Ditch Effort, which odd to see in 2026. The Snipe Rider.
Oh, the Pen.
Yeah, which is a fair enough choice. It's just not something we see as often these days. The Crushing... Yeah, just in case. You never know. That last cooler could be the most important one. The back coming out here from the GOATs in the room, able to find a very interesting trade. Neither side finding much control thus far. The GOAT in the room looking to find it, though. It's still nobody really making much ground. Rare to see the first minute of Rainmaker essentially go by with this much neutrality. The Rainmaker has not been grabbed.
Which is especially interesting because Crushing 20s, they like to do just that. Maybe it's them just kind of respecting the strength they're seeing out of the Goat in the room. But I feel like they tend to just rush things, and Mio is going to be sharking there, but ultimately not going to stop the other team from getting the checkpoint. A little bit slow on the draw there, but in the meantime, 3 of the members have gone down. It's just the pen, so they're moving forward while they're trusting their teammates to just pick that up so that they can kind of strike back with a quick check as well.
Yeah, and an Inkback at the ready to guarantee it. Daniel doing an excellent job of moving forward. The Snipe Rider having a little bit of a hard time making it to the pedestal, able to. The back shot coming out, helping to lay down some extra turf. Looks like Pop's going to go in favor of the Goat in the room. Points on the board. 50, not a great lead for Humpback, but it is a lead nonetheless as the Kraken comes out. They manage to dodge it. They go forward, get a few more points, doing excellent squid rolls to eke out what they can. A lot of members of Goat in the room still up. This push is not dead yet.
Yeah, very well done living for that long. They were squeezed in between a Kraken and a Booyah, and still, listen, that waist, skinny like Urchin underpass zone, because they just squeezed straight past that, but all the while I think the Crushing 20s, because someone picked up and immediately went down, it gave them a little bit of time to get there. Mio getting a double! That's going to be huge for them, because I think that opens the window for even more.
And they grab the Rainmaker in time.
Wow.
Yeah. The Kraken managing to find the pick through that Inkback there. It's why you've got to have an answer to Inkbacks, but it still allowed them to get all the way down to 4. And we don't say that there are safe leads in Humpback, but 4 is pretty close to it.
Yeah, even though it's not one, they're practically looking at a knockout to end up winning this game. Tone Warrior going to get that pick on the Carbon. That's going to be huge for them because I think the Carbon has kind of been a thorn in their side, but all the while 2 members have gone down. You can't really have a sufficient push with that, so I think Tao's going to back up, wait for their teammates to come back in, especially because they have a Kraken online. Maybe wait for more specials. They try again with this push.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it. Nathan trying to get rushed down. Big Noob trying to rush down Nathan there. Not able to find it. Does get away with their life. And we're just going to see a big skirmish for control of mid here yet again. Big Noob managing to dodge roll around. Not going to be enough. Another one of their teammates gets picked off. The Booyah Bomb coming out for elbow. Getting cleaned up. And the Goat in the room knowing that they just need to not overextend. They can keep going for more pushes, but they need to keep a couple players up because points bleed here on Humpback so quickly.
Yes, all it takes is a misplay and lots of face palms to be had here when someone just slips through and gets all of those picks. But Daniel, the vac user, they're going to camp that jump essentially and activate their floor aura while they're at it. So that is going to be the one straggler that's left. I think Daniel kind of executively deciding that they're not going to deal with it, move forward. And now that we're in this final minute, the Goat in the room, not quite popping to push. Maybe they're just planning to stall this out, but the Crushing 20s, they have a long way to go if they want to take this game back. I believe on their... No, this is the Goat in the room. This is their counter pick,
yeah. The Goat in the room doing a great job on their counter pick, as we hope to see from counter picks. 30 seconds left to go. Right now, if you're the Goat in the room, it's so important to not overextend, to not let these trip strikes do this to you, essentially. But there is an Inkback ready. A Kraken is out. They just need to find the pick. Big Noob rushing in, trying to find it. Gets them so weak, but can't find the pick. Inkback still going. Finds one. Just the Carbon left up. Mio able to find the pick. Doesn't go down to the Rainmaker shot. Able to throw the burst bomb, slowing them down just long enough. 4 seconds left to go. An incredible job there from Mio. And what a great job from the Goat in the room of not letting that Ink Strike and Kraken combination allow the Crushing 20s to get that push in.
That was so sad at the end there. Just seeing the pen, they needed to get a pick on the Carbon, but that's easier said than done when you're on Rainmaker. And that's why, honestly, I love watching Humpback Rainmaker games because that final push is so difficult. People spawning in have a front row seat to you trying to make that run so they can easily drop on you and end you right in your tracks. So that's exactly what happened. It was just the carbon until it wasn't. Their teammates not able to jump in fast enough, unfortunately. So Goat in the Room really had control quite a while there.
They did. They looked really solid throughout that game. They knew when to back off and focus on defense. They knew how important it was to keep members up, which is one of the hardest skills to learn in Splatoon, because you always want to go for that big push. You always want to keep going and keep trying to get that momentum. But if you push that too far, you completely lose all control. You lose all the space you've gained, and it just doesn't end up working out as you need it to.
Yeah, it really is a balancing act. And speaking of balancing, Crushing 20s, they are now on the back foot where they have to figure out what their counter pick is going to be. And seeing what they're up against, the same way I was just like, I don't know if they should pick this because they're dealing with the back or etc. etc. They're really going to have to balance what it is that they're going to pick. Now, they lost on zones right off the top by milliseconds, if anything.
Yeah, so, wouldn't shock me to see them try and go back to zones here, in full honesty.
No, same.
If that's possible. I'm pretty sure that's possible. I always get confused with counter. No, here they can. That's too many different counter pick rules live in my brain at all times.
That is not. Sometimes it's like, no, you're not crazy. Sometimes it's like, well, if you've already gone there, then you can't pick it. You can only pick from what's left. So it's just clams. But I believe in this case, if you've lost on it, you're allowed to counter pick to it. So likely they will go back to zones. A lot of competitive players just have a preference for zones off the top. And I think it's also the mode that is probably going to give them the least amount of grief with that back that they're going up against. Yeah. So, just kind of like a take your pick of the best zone, because you certainly, they've also lost Rainmaker. They're not going to want to do that. No. And the last thing is Clams, which can also be really strong backs. We are going to go to Splat Zones Roboramen. Very standard pick. Yeah,
this is about as standard as it gets. I guess I'll say that we haven't seen Inkblot tower control, which is a win for me. I think Mako Martin Inkblot should be retired for 2 months as a treat.
Oh my gosh.
They can come back after.
I don't know. As a Mako Martin Inkblot, as a Clash player, I cannot accept this. Those are some fantastic Clash maps, and we deserve rights too.
Clash Blasters do. Those stages have been seen on loops in Splatoon 2.
That's not crazy. I think that Inkblot zones is crazy. The fact that I see so many people pick Inkblot
We used to play, that used to be a regular tournament pick. Inkblot Rainmaker used to be a normal thing. I don't know. Life has changed.
They're terrible. But we're going to somewhere that isn't terrible.
That's a pencil and a Splatling.
It is, and we've been seeing a lot more of that lately in competitive play. Much to my chagrin, but the point here is, as much as people are like, what's up with this double backline? I think that Pen has largely been seen as a support backline, but people have definitely been playing it more aggressively these days. You see a lot of them kind of just pushing forward and taking low low ground, and meanwhile the Heck is there to pick up the slack of the paint from the Pen just playing aggressively. So I think that's sort of the mindset going into this game.
Yeah, but the Crushing 20s exploding out of the gate here, able to find an early opening push. Already down to 57 points, still have a 2-down situation for the GOAT in the room, and Crushing 20s not looking to let off the gas anytime soon, finding pick after pick, and not giving the GOAT in the room any time to establish and set up. But Bazooka comes out, finds one, looks for a second. The GOAT in the room needs to break in soon.
Yeah, and they're trying to do that with the crab. You're saying they had their foot on the gas, but unfortunately, maybe a little bit of a lapse there. The sprinkler on the top of that bowl is just going to help them with that team, as well as the GOAT in the room. They take the zone, but also they're playing quite carefully. This is what I feel like we saw out of Crushing 20s the last time they were on stream. They played Robo Ramen, and they played careful until they had their specials, and then they just collapsed on the other team. And I think that's what we see out of the GOAT in the room, but ultimately they lose the zone, and Crushing 20s is back in control.
Yeah, that's Slosher doing an excellent job of playing around this map geometry, knowing what they can get away with. Also feels like Carbon can't get away with as much on this stage. And the Crushing 20s just doing an excellent job of finding these holes. Bazooka comes out, but not going to be able to find more than one. And just a really tough time for the GOAT in the room, trying to break in. Big Noob gonna try and force an opening here, getting this crab tank ready. Going to be able to pop it to start this hold. As the Carbon rushes forward, hoping to find one, able to jump back in the process, and the Kraken went back to try and find the Carbon!
Yes, it would be huge to get them off of the chessboard, so to speak, and they do exactly that. Tao just trying to live in that elbow, but not only do they go down, they're not even able to necessarily get the trade. So Tom Warrior, being the only person up, is going to try and defend themselves with those tri-strikes. Not quite going to work. It seems like we're seeing a lot of these like fadeaway shots, people just Hail Marrying, jumping off to an off angle to get the pick. And all the while, the GOAT in the room have had a really great hold on this zone. They get the lead and ultimately lose it, but really great hold that whole time.
Yeah, I mean, really great push down to 22. Solid start, but they're going to need to be able to consistently break back in to keep those penalty points applying to Crushing 20s as they are rapidly working through them, almost through them already. The GOAT in the room just needs to make sure that they're able to get enough paint onto zone, but they're about to be in danger.
Big Noobs has really been moving and shaking and just cleaning up a lot of the team fights now. They're not able to quite find anything on this crab. They kind of take this awkward off angle, but it's very important that they take this back. They do take the zone, but once again, they're playing a little bit careful. Nobody has their specials, so they're just going to have to rely on making these openings themselves. And once again, the Carbon is just being a nuisance to them. They're on the side, probably trying to get anyone who goes too close to the ledge, but now that Tao has popped this Kraken and gotten rid of Big Noobs, who has been such a nuisance, I think that Crushing 20s are in a great position to take that nuisance.
And they do. They're going to try and find a way to put pressure on this elbow now, but they need to be ready to watch out for flanks from Big Noob, from the Carbon, because both of them are so willing to rush in. Trades coming out from both sides. The zone flips over to the GOAT in the room. Big Noob finds another, and just an incredible situation here for the GOAT in the room. 30 ticks left. They're almost to a crab tank. They're close-ish to a Zuka. They have a heavy to lay down turf, a pencil to keep the other one at bay. And what a great situation to be in for them.
Yeah, and they forced that Slosher to use their tri-strikes a little bit early with that crab. The crab's going to be offline, but ultimately it works out for them. Tao has this Kraken, probably going to pop it to force everybody out. No, going to do some manual shooting, first going to risk it, but now is the time to display, so they're running after all of those players. None of their team is necessarily able to get the zone up until now. That was a close one. They might not have triggered overtime if they didn't get that paint down, but now they're going to have to pick how it is they deal with the GOAT in the room now that they're in overtime, and I guess it's just not deal at all because Big Noobs just kind of tears through them like paper at the end.
Big Noob was doing an excellent job of really repositioning frequently and often taking advantage of the high mobility of Dooley to be a distraction, to be a nuisance, and popping those crab tanks from really strong positions to allow their teammates the opportunity to get in.
Yeah, they were really, I feel like we were seeing a lot of the Carbon play for most of the set. But Big Noobs really just kind of ran away with it there, really kind of being the MVP of the match. Of course, the Carbon also doing a great job. Ultimately, just great teamwork here, especially because we've seen how oppressive Crushing 20s can be on a place like Robo Ramen zones. That's why they counterpicked it, I'm assuming. But I don't know. It wasn't even, usually it's kind of the VAC, but was it the 96 that was on the heavy?
Yes, I believe that was the switch there. And I think the heavy was a nice call for the amount of turf it can output. And really great job there.
Helpful in zones. Now, I was going to ping in server and ask whether this was our last game, but Popgun has so kindly sort of when you take out
pulling
the game
off,
and you
pulling us off the stage with the hook.
Golly, and you're very welcome, Popgun. Bye. Yes, we will sign off really quickly here. Nox, I'm pretty sure, especially people, we all know what you're up to, but give me your plugs.
Yeah, I stream sometimes on Twitch. Hopefully I'll do some YouTube videos again. My blue sky is at NoxRaven42, as I am everywhere. And where can they find you?
You can find me at Sasu in your pants, SASUIN, the letters you are, pants. It's not spelt correctly, but I will also be doing CCA later today, the finals, so be sure to tune in for that. But, that's the hook. We've been pulled off stage. Stay tuned for the rest of Look.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Low Ink April 2026. I am Popgun, joined by Topic, and this is going to be probably the worst commentary block I've ever had in my life. And Topic, you are unfortunately going to be a part of this because I am streaming at the same exact time, and I am freely going to admit I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
Listen, you're doing better than me. You're better than me. Could I stream? No. Could I stream and commentate? No, but more O's at the end of that. So, listen, it may not be... It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Trust me. I believe in you. Believe in the you that believes in me, that believes in you.
Well, first off, let me just say, the folks behind the scenes at IPL are absolute wizards because the things they can do is amazing. It took me about an hour in VC with somebody. I shouldn't say somebody. It was Boing, who basically helped set all this up with Ellie helping out on the back end as well. There's a whole lot of bells and whistles that go into this, but this is what makes IPL different from everyone else. We have people working for us for free, creating things that they should absolutely not be doing for free. And, well, you know what? The players are playing for free as well. This is all just a fun little time here, and that is why we're going to be shifting on over to Let That Sink In versus the University of South Florida Gold Squad. A CCA representation here deep into Low Ink.
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, USF Gold got Div 1 last season, if I recall correctly. It's either Div 1 or like high Div 2. Yes, I'm looking back at it now. They did get third place in Div 1. So, yeah, strong teams. Let that sink in. You know, I might let this sink in, might not, depending on how they play. But, you know, we had to go to our battleground, of course. You let these teams decide as we go to game number 1, Splatstone's Barnacle and Dime, also known as my favorite Tetris piece in the game.
Now we are... There's only so many Tetra pieces there could be, though. Do you have a least favorite Tetris piece in the game? That would imply you do.
That's a hard question. I will answer that question by not responding to that question.
yeah, I didn't want to bring up a touchy subject. Clearly, that's where I struck. I apologize for that. We're in losers bracket, and we are looking at a couple of losers here. South Florida lost round 1. Let That Sink In lost round 2, and since then they've been going on a curb stop through losers bracket, steamrolling everybody in their path on their way to loser semis here. The winner of this one will take on Crushing 20s, who you just saw lose earlier to the Goats in the room. Game 1 here being loading in. This is, as you said, Splatzone's Barnacle and Dime, and we got a Respawn Punisher E-Leader, and you're going to talk for a bit, Topic, while I try to figure out if I got the colors correct.
No, you're fine. I can talk for a lot longer than just a little bit here. But yeah, we're going to see that Respawn Punisher Leader going to be a very big threat to the members of Let That Sink In, for the USF Gold, sorry. As we're going to see a couple of fights scrapping out in mid. Larry not quite going to pick just yet, but Ty getting a nice one as well. But there's that leader from Adley with a very, very nice pick. And the Zuko as well to follow up on that, allowing Let That Sink In to get into the plat. And this map in particular is very lockout heavy because you're kind of guided to going that top left side, kind of funneled to go that way as well. We're gonna see if USF Gold can break out there. The Zuka's not gonna, or the Booyah Bomb not gonna be there as well for USF Gold. We're gonna see Ty in the mid, just sharking it. A nice pick there. The rest of the team following up really well, getting another one down. But in the back lines, a 52 in the street, just staying alive somehow, some way. Gonna get called out, not dying just yet, just being a big nuisance. It's working out for them. Ty trying to fight a way in. They're gonna go force to jump away and let that sink in, kind of fending off USF Gold's attempts, and they're able to push right back up to plat with Splat in here.
So now we see Let That Sink In control of things. I have to double check where this was over here. So far, a pretty good lockout situation being put out. You see Adley in the back, who's really pushed up a little bit earlier and got punished for it by the roller, as you pointed out, but now doing a good job of staying behind their teammates and still supporting them at the same time. I would like to see them actually get up there a little bit further to be on top of it, just to kind of help support the rest of their team that's pushed up at the beginning here. But we do see South Florida starting to roll back in.
Yeah, they are. That Booyah Bomb from ESE is trying to force their way in. 10-6 remaining ties going to be there, but no, Adley shutting them down. Maybe saying, hey, I don't gotta push forward. I have range. Using that really well to their advantage here, just kind of keeping USF Gold back, and it's working out really well in their favor. Now Adley in mid. Gotta be careful of Ty once again. Splat Kirby is going to go down there. Ty going to go down in the trade as well. It's just Yessie though here, just kind of forced to back away, forced to play safe, because last time they're in this situation, Adley got a very nice snipe on Yessie to kind of cancel out that Booyah Bomb and make life for USF Gold a very much harder here. But we're going to see the penalties going to be out just here. There is no more penalty points for Let That Sink In. USF Gold trying to fight their way in. It's just going to be one. It's just going to be Fizzle going to go down, and Let That Sink In is currently... that was a good game, I'm not gonna lie, from them. Just kind of having Adley in the background, just being that ever-present threat, being that ever-present laser, just allows the rest of the team to play a bit more, not haphazardly, but a bit more loose. That's the best way I can put it. They play a little bit more reckless because they know they have that sort of safety blanket behind them.
That is the dub for Let That Sink In, and keep in mind this is a best of 3, not the best of 5 like you just saw. Thank you to the person in chat who said we needed to update the commentators. Sasu and Nox are no longer commentating this one, are they? It is now me and Topic getting this one done as we awkwardly switch in to the rest of this one. Now, I kind of mentioned before, as we already have the counterpick, it's Splatzone's Hagglefish that is coming out there, so let's do that real quick. Hagglefish starts with an H, as you may not be aware. It is below,
I didn't know.
It is above Hammerhead, and we're gonna update that so you guys can see that little graphic there. But as I was saying, Let That Sink In has won 3 straight matches from the loser side, a couple of them coming in a decisive game 3 against Chud, Ruins, and Oro. That last one being a tower control ship shape win. They were able to get a huge lead and then hold on to it barely at the end here. South Florida has been spending the entire day in losers bracket, but they have not dropped a game until the last round. They 2-0'd 3 opponents in a row. The Shadow Legion took a game off of them, and now they're on the brink of elimination yet again to Let That Sink In, as they immediately got their counter pick in, and they're not even going to waste any time. We're just going to go right into it.
I mean,
Love to see these teams. They got stuff to do today.
Yeah, they do, and I'm kind of a little bit surprised by Hagglefish, because this is a really good eater map. So you're kind of giving Adley kind of free sight lines to work with here. Maybe you can use the alleyways to kind of get behind them if you can, kind of disorientate the other members. But if Adley is allowed to stay clean, this could be a very easy 100-0 for Let That Sink In. So if you're USF Gold, you can't just stay back. You have to force the motion. You have to force the pressure, because if you don't, this would be a very, very short game. As we're going to see, almost immediately, a lot of fighting through mid. Both teams looking to kind of get that zone and go forward there. Unfortunately, one member is going to go down for USF Gold. Inker in zone, trying to paint over both Larry and Adley. Zuka from the right-hand side is able to get a lot of damage on as well. A flank from the other side as well from Inker. Gonna get caught out. Adley not gonna go down, so Let That Sink In. Great start for them, as a lot of specials being used from USF Gold, but not a whole lot to show for it.
The E-Leader is going to be the thing I'm going to be keeping an eye on, because it's a scoped E-Leader, and there's nothing really in the way. That's not the Ink Zuka variant of the Carbon Roller they're going to be going up against. Instead is the Chumps one with Fizzy Bomb. I mean, the Fizzy can be deadly. Also, when you just splat 2 people right on top of the head, give them a headache and a trip back to the spawn, that helps push back the E-Leader as well. But other than that E-Leader is going to have a lot of range to work with if they can find ways to get set up like they have been before.
I mean, yeah, but the question is, can they get it up once again? You see Yessie trying to go underneath that that tent's not able to work out. Kirby with the Zuka looking for a tie right underneath them, just sarking underneath the tent as two members are going to go down for Let That Sink In. Kirby getting a nice pick. Inker looking to clean this up, not able to get it. It's Kirby, a nice double kill as well, trying to allow Let That Sink In to get further win. But you see where Fizzle is, a very strong spot for heavies as you just kind of have something to guide you and something to paint, but looks like it might not even matter as Larry just runs in, gets to, and forces a jump out from Fizzle. So Let That Sink In. They're back in business, back in court. They have a bubble for defense, so this could be kind of scary for USF Gold here.
There was a lot of splats coming out from Larry and Splat Kirby at the same time, shutting down anything that could have been used by South Florida. The problem is they didn't cap zone throughout all of that nonsense. They were getting so many splats they couldn't really get the objective down. So a lot of points soaked up by South Florida as you see them trying to find their way back into the zone right here. But penalty points are gone. They keep chipping away at it. Is somebody flanking around here? No, they're just coming right down the mid, except for the Stamper coming around this left side. So with a lot of pressure coming from multiple angles, the E-Leader not going to be sticking around to deal with that.
I mean, yeah, but they kept them safe. They kept them alive, which is very, very big here. A lot of pressure can be put up on that board. But a struggle for Let That Sink In is when we try to get past this, get past mid. You're going to see Splatin at the top of your screen just trying to go for a bit of a kill on the Stamper here. Not quite able to get it. Unfortunately, Larry's going to go down there, so a lot of that offensive pressure is going to be gone for Let That Sink In. Splatin just trying to stay alive, kind of avoid the SE. Kirby's going to be there as well. One down. Inker still fighting, though. 1-for-1 trade on either side. Fizzle kind of clean up Splat and make them jump away. They are able to make them back off. And now if you're USF Gold, you kind of got to hold on here. You kind of got to make sure that you don't get sniped. You know what? Comedic timing.
Well, easier said than done, as a lot of range is coming out here by Let That Sink In as they finally get control of the zone yet again. 1:20, so there's still plenty of time for both teams to accomplish something here. The question is going to be, can a lockout be created by Let That Sink In? What do they have to work with? They got a bubbler? But how are they going to deal with all these chumps? Oh no, the chumps. Oh right, it's just chumps. Why are they using the chump variant? Again, it has to be the fizzy bomb that they really want to utilize here. So why not find a way to use it? Throwing it along this left side as the zone does get capped by South Florida yet again. So this tug of war just keeps going on, and that's only going to benefit South Florida.
I mean, yeah, they have the lead. They're holding on. Yes, it's going to go down. Very unfortunate. Their ties staying alive somehow, some way. Inker going down instead. The Zuka getting a lot more damage as well. Just kind of, once again, fighting over mid here, trying to get that zone. And so far, USF Gold is just sitting up here. Fizzle once again looking for flanks. Nice pick there on a Splatin, though. Another snipe coming out. Just a lot of ink going down. Larry with the bubble, kind of very aggressively here, just making sure that they can get on the enemy side. But there jumps once again. There go the jumps. What changed? The zone is orange now.
There goes the chumps. There they were. And there goes another player from South Florida. So this is going to be lead. They're just going to immediately get it right here. Unless they find stuff to throw into the zone in time. Can they stall it out in time? They do not. Let That Sink In. Takes it. Oh, I understand needing the jump out at the very end right there, but the time left kind of indicated you probably just had to take that 1v1 and roll with the punches. Let that sink in. Hey, moving on to losers finals.
I mean, yeah, which is a really solid game. And I know we were talking about it a lot, but I think, okay, I'm trying to get into the mind of USF Gold. I think the idea of chumps was to fight within the chumps and to, you know, provide some cover. It was just unfortunate because every time they popped chumps, they had no one to follow up on it. So they just popped chumps. Question mark, profit. But there was no profit because it was just, they just didn't really do a whole lot.
They didn't. they did. And again, look, you roll with the comp that you want to use. I'm not trying to be critical of the weapons that people, I mean, low ink of all places. You kind of just get by with what you feel the most comfortable using. But that is the victory for Let That Sink In, as we're gonna get to know them pretty well going forward here, as they have now won 4 straight in a row. Who's the team that knocked them down? Oh, it's the team they're about to play. The goats in the room. Now, the goats in the room. All right, no, they would have to beat Crushing 20s first to get to goats in the room. Excuse me. So Crushing 20s is the team that is going to be going up against them here, and we're going back to a best of 5. And Topic, you're going to yap for a bit because I need to get into this room to get things.
You know what? You're fine. I can yap. I love yapping. So yeah, I'm excited to see what these two teams have in store for us. Let That Sink In. We just saw. I believe game 1 is going to be on Zones Mahi. So that is kind of pretty good for them, I will say. Yeah, lead, especially before the war level drops. E-Leader kind of can sit up on either the islands or on Snipe and just kind of be that eye in the sky for the team. And after the war level drops, you have room for the decaf with Larry. You have room, you have a lot of space to move with Splat and in the 52. You have okay, you know what? What's funny? I don't know, but there's a lot.
I got the wrong teams in grand final or winners finals. That's.
Oh, okay. 6-7 Warriors are not funny.
Good screenshot for those 2 teams that aren't here, unfortunately, I guess. But now we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Okay, we're good. Yeah, so Let That Sink In. I think once the war level drops, I think that's where their comp really blossoms into its own, because they're very mobile. Other than Adley, they have very, very mobile weapons, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see them lock out really well, especially once the war level drops, once they get past like that 60 points. Now, for Crushing 20s, I don't know. So, do you know? Because I don't.
Oh, you do, because I spectated them in the last game that we saw them play in. Slosher is one of the things they do. Now, they had a player, Tao, who was using Splat Dualies in the set before, and then in winners finals, they opted to go with the Kraken Splatter Shot. So I don't know if that was just more so the opponent they knew they were going up against. They wanted to switch up something they felt like was going to work out better against them, or if that's going to be what they're going to be consistently doing going forward. And the very, very rare weapon that you see in low ink, Snipe Rider. In fact, both teams in winners finals were rocking the Snipe Rider. One of the most meta weapons of Splatoon's history. 3-2 or Splatoon vanilla, and it's barely ever used in low ink, except right here where these 2 teams said, hey, what if we just tried it? Oh, it actually works out really well. So other than that, it's just a question of what kind of main weapon are they going to use to go in conjunction with the Slosher that's been working out really well for them. Is it going to be the Splat Dualies or the Kraken Splatter Shot?
I'm a Slosher main, so as a Slosher main myself, I love honestly, I like both of them. I think you have the burst bombs from the Kraken shot to help out, kind of chip anybody. Anyone can follow up really well on your damage, and I think also if they decide to stick with V dualies, you said V dualies, right? The crab ones.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that also helps, some chip damage, whether it be from their suction bomb, whether it be from the crab as well. Like, honestly, I could see either one because they both work really well. It's just a matter of how do they play around it. Because if you have, depending on how aggressive that they want to be, because as a Slosher, I think I love having a second teammate that's really aggressive. Like, either one can work really well because you have your dually or the shot kind of engage the fight, and then you follow up with a slosh that will do either 50 or 70 damage, and you kind of just get that pick really well. So honestly, for this map in particular, I think Crab is better, so maybe V dualies, but we'll see.
So Crushing 20s has been crushing this tournament most of the day until they ran into the goats in the room, but several of the losses they had were very winnable losses. Game 1, they had a big lead that they let slip away in overtime. Game 2, they had to come back late to overcome a big deficit that was against them. Big lead in Game 4 that they lost. And Rainmaker, even though it was a huge win for the goats in the room. They had a final push that if they just get one more splat or two, they take that win as well. So if they were to get to a rematch, it would be a good opportunity for them to get something going. Crushing 20s went 5-1 yesterday in the Swiss round, and I'm going to see who's the one team that beat them. It would be hilarious if it was... actually, the one team that beat them is who they're playing right now. Let that sink in. They beat them 2-1 yesterday in round 4. That's so... Other than the team waiting in grand finals, nobody else has beaten Crushing 20s than the team that they're going up against right now. So they could truly say, if Crushing 20s were to finish in 3rd place, they could truly say they were the 3rd place team, because the only teams that beat them would have finished 1st and 2nd. Meanwhile, let that sink in. How well did they do yesterday? If they beat Crushing 20s, oh gosh, there's more than one. There's a let that sink in and let's go somebody else. Great. So that's gonna take a while to figure out.
Well, for let that sink in, it looks like they did lose Swiss. They lost to USF Gold, and then they lost to USF Gold, and they lost to Special Dreamers in Swiss, and then they also lost to Go in the Room. So those are their set losses in Ludi, or not Ludi, in Low Ink.
Somebody's been knocking at the door for 30 minutes. Don't let them in. No, that's cringe. If you're knocking at a door for 30 minutes and nobody opens it, you are stalking at that point. Go away. Go find something else to do.
You're right.
Person in chat.
Yeah, you're right.
And just to give you an update, they are loading in. It's always that awkward, where's your 4th? The 4th is here. They're all selecting their weapons. They're all, doing their stretches, pre-game stretches. Resting their tummies, all that good stuff, getting ready to go. And this is a best of 5, in case you couldn't see the graphic on the stream. Not the best of 3 that you just saw. This is winners finals. Crushing 20 coming in.
Losers.
This is losers. Losers finals. Yes, these two teams are losers. And they're the best of the losers so far. That's what we're looking at.
I mean, yeah, I'm excited to see who is the better loser, and then face off against the better winner in grand finals.
That's how this bracket works out for sure. All right.
Yeah.
Game 1. Splat zones at Mahi Mahi. That E-leader, the scoped variant coming right back out to the surprise of nobody. There's the pin. And oh, by the way, the Missile Pro is going to be used as well. Back in the day, if you didn't like a charger on the other team, you would just spam missiles at them all day long until they dropped the charger. This time around, you can't spam missiles because that got patched out, but you can still be very annoying with it.
I mean, speaking of missiles, there we are right there, getting an early missile. 2 members down. Adley forced to back away with Kirby in the back. Gonna get a lot of damage off. No picks just yet, forcing them to back away. Kirby gonna go down eventually here, and Crushing 20s just foot on the gas almost immediately here. You see they have the strikes at the ready as well, so they can stop any attempted pushes from Let That Sink In almost immediately here. You see Larry does have the Zipcaster. They're going over straight towards that crab. A lot of damage, but Ton shutting it down single-handedly. Great job. Shout out to them. And they are still going, by the way. 40 points on the board. Kirby at 1 in zone. 2 members down for Crushing 20s. 3 members down. It's just a pen. And Let That Sink In. Now they had a very big deficit to climb themselves out of.
The purpose of using specials is to displace the enemy team. It's not so much to get splats. If you get splats on top of it, great. So that Zipcaster didn't really do anything damage-wise, but it did at least make the crab roll up and did at least make a couple of players take cover for a bit, and that opened up the door for the rest of Let That Sink In to swarm into the zone, cap it back. And they might be able to create a bit of a lockout situation here because they got another Zipcaster ready to go.
Yeah, they have it. You see Larry just waiting, biding their time. 2 down for Crushing 20s, looking for that third. The popping is Zipcaster to force members back, getting shut down once again, but giving Adley enough time to get that snipe. strikes coming out, but no follow-up as well. You see the members all kind of funneling in toward that left-hand side. Adley, nice pick onto one. Tao going to go down to the tap shots. Adley keeping their team in it. Ton Warrior popping the strikes, kind of forcing this last fight, able to flip the zone for now here. We see Let That Sink In not going away just yet. Ton getting damaged, forced to back away for it now. Going through zone is going to be Nathan and Ton going straight for Adley here. No picks coming out just yet until they're going to go down right there. And now Let That Sink In. They're still in mid. They're still fighting. They're still trying to find another way in. Tao getting a nice trade out as well. And it's been a lot of fighting, a lot of back and forth, I will say.
Like what we've seen out of Splat Kirby holding down that space and keeping their E-leader players safe, knowing that people are going to be finding those angles to try to get up and attack them, knowing that they got to get the protect and get an easy splat on top of it. The problem is, Crush in 20s has complete control of the zone. The penalty points are gone. Eventually, you're going to have to just funnel in here. It just comes down to these strikes or Zukas to make something happen.
Oh,
and now can Splat Kirby 1 versus the world. The world wins every single time. I did not change the scores the entire time of that one, or the colors.
No, I mean, you're fine.
Well, who's this? Crush the 20s. They win. They're the perfect.
Yeah, they win
this time around.
Yeah,
Update the team colors, says the chat. My bad.
You're fine. Listen, everyone makes mistakes.
Well, not Crushing 20s. They didn't make any mistakes that time around. I mean, they came out to the early lead. They got the missiles to start off with to run things in, to chase everybody out of the zone, get control of things, and then was able to weather the storm, get the splats necessary to build up a huge lead, weather the specials coming in, and push them right back out.
Yeah, I will say Crushing 20s, they did a great job of kind of not overreacting, because I feel like with a lot of teams, especially like newer lower level teams, that there's a sort of panic whenever you see the timer ticking down or the points ticking down, and you kind of get you're very desperate. I will say you're very desperate to stop that. But Crushing 20s, they just didn't let that overwhelm them. They found the picks, they found the space, and it worked out really well for them in their favor. As Let That Sink In, now this is their counter pick, and I think, okay, yeah, I'm a little conflicted here, because you want to pick a good leader map, right? That's A. But if you keep the leader, their Crushing 20s is most likely going to stick with the pro with the missiles to kind of make that leader's life uncomfortable. So it's like, what would you go here?
You would go with tower control ship shape is what they're opting to go with. Try to give a little bit of range for their E-leader to work with. But I'm assuming that those missiles, as you mentioned, are going to be coming right back out. It's quite often we see people use the Frozen Pro on this stage mode combo anyways, regardless of what they're going to be, what their opponent is going to be rolling out here. So this is going to be not much of a change coming from the side of Crushing 20s. I think they're more than happy to take the fight here as well. But, you know, it's this isn't a bad pick for your team either if you're Let That Sink In with the comp that you want to use, at the range you want to be putting on display. Probably using the crab as well, along with the Zukas that they've been using. And plus, they probably think like, okay, what are some fun Zipcaster lanes that we can use on this one? I'm not crazy enough to use Zipcaster, so I wouldn't know all the fun spots to use that. But I'm sure those are the things they took into consideration when figuring this out, unless they didn't.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. But another thing I want to throw out there is we might see a switch over back to Decav, because we did see them run it last set. Switch to Decav to kind of have that safety blanket. But no, I'm on sticking with that brush for the Zipcaster from the other side. No comp changes as well. So both these teams there's a switch up. Going to the Comets for the Kraken on tower. It makes sense. Other than that, no change on either side.
Honestly, I think this is the we've seen this variant of the Ink Rush used on the stage mode combo a bit today as well, as we see the trade going out initially into the favor of Oh, nobody, but 2 players going down from the side and let that sink in, so you're going to be seeing the missiles coming out right away. Whipped combination of the crap. So as everybody's running for their lives from the missiles, including the E-Leader, there's a snot rocket sent right to your face. That earns you a free trip back to your spawn.
I mean, yeah, and it did, and Crushing 20 is taking full advantage of this. You see the Pen just kind of, relaxing on tower, giving some pain, but the Zuka will shut that down. Was Kirby with a nice pick. Nathan staying alive, sliding from the left-hand side, gonna get a lot of damage off Ton. Nice pick there, forcing back Adley once again. Adley looking for a pick. They're gonna go down. Tower, though, is still going forward. It's just Larry, living like Larry, not for long, as they're gonna go down. Second checkpoint will be reached and possibly broken with very little resistance from Crushing, from what that sink in is gonna work out, actually.
I think we're done here. I think we might be done here. I mean, when you got the slosher at that spot, I mean, okay, maybe the push is over. Oh, why'd you just drop right into that? You had to, even your pin is like, really? You just left me here and we're still going? Oh, but yeah, they had such great position. They get to 4 remaining. Now, it's tower control ship shape, so there's no such thing as a lead here. And is that the end of the nonsense? Kind of. At least all the players are in front of let that sink in. But Crushing 20s had a great stage presence on the top right there. Opted to get a bit of a mercy showing there. Let me just dive bomb into the Kraken and allow this game to continue.
I mean, call it playing with your food if you might, because Crushing 20s, they have a massive lead, and let that Ticket has to get through both checkpoints, plus basically get the win, or get the goal if they want to win this game here. As Crushing 20s, they can, while not play passive, they can let that sink in come to them. Unfortunately, Adley has a good shot, as you see, get a nice pick there, and the push will start out for let that sink in, but how long is the question here? Ooh, nice shot there from Adley. Maybe a little bit more. Cow on the flank is going to force them off of tower for now, and this might be the end of the push, but looks like I might be proven wrong, as let that sink in. They're still going.
A bit of a sitting duck on that shot there, and Adley punished it as they're able to clear the first checkpoint, which means, yes, there's 4 remaining. It's almost a tied game. The good news for Crushing 28 is that they've cleared all the checkpoints already. So really, for the next 2 minutes, the mindset is we just got to defend our little flat area by the second checkpoint, and we're good. But also, treat it like a Rainmaker. You never have the lead in Rainmaker. Keep pushing, keep the pressure onto the enemy team, get everything built up, and make sure that it's more difficult for them to get going. As Splat Kirby working in conjunction to trying to hold onto these Zukas for the right time, sees Nathan in the alleyway, doesn't get them, but opts to get rid of the Slosher instead. So here we go. Can they get control? Can Nathan hold down that top right area right there? That's going to be key to shut down this push.
I mean, yeah, we're going to see the wave breaker to kind of get them unstable. It's going to work. Splat and getting the pick. Hold on. This game is not over, like you said earlier. 10 points remaining. It's just Tao. They're not going to get it. And, yeah, I think you may have misjudged the game earlier, because let that sink in. They got the snowball, and they just ran through. I don't know. They just won the game.
Now, hold on just a second. I did say that they never had the lead, because that's not a thing that actually exists in tower control ship shape. Now, what I was alluding to is, if that Slosher just stayed up top there, what are they going to do about it? Like, they're literally just canceling everybody going up top. Instead, the Slosher said, nope, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to jump off the tower. And it's like, that's all right. I mean, you have a position to get the KO. Go get the KO. Don't let a team hang around on tower control shift, especially on their own counter pick, by the way, because nonsense like that can happen. And you saw the exact thing. You saw the gal get up top on that top right area and said, I'm just going to stay here and we're going to win because of it. And you guys have nothing you can do to stop me from being up top here. Game over. Match tied up at 1 apiece.
Yeah, and I think if you are Crushing 20s, I think this is like a gut punch, because like you had that game, you let that sink in, get momentum, you let them stay in the game, and unfortunately that was your downfall. But we're going to a much more up-tempo map mode, Rainmaker on Humpback. I think this is really good for both the dualies and both the dualies and the slosher. So I'm not surprised.
Opting to go with a little bit of a faster stage and a faster mode right here. I wonder if they keep the E-leader, if they have something else they're gonna to roll with in this situation. And this is something where Crushing 20s just lost on. In fact, I believe they did counterpick this against the Goats in the Room, against the Carbon Roller, or maybe it was the Goats in the Room that picked this one. Memory is fuzzy. Let's just roll with that. Regardless, they did come off of a loss with this one, trying to exercise the demons on that, as the match is now tied once again at 1 apiece. Rainmaker at Humpback Pump Check. Are we going to see any changes coming out from either team?
That's one.
That is one.
That is two.
And that is definitely an E-leader going bye-bye.
I mean, it makes sense. This is one of Dynamo's best map. You sit on window, you sit on bunker, you kind of get mid, and then Nathan switching over to that 52. I like it personally, but we're gonna see. It looks like Splatoon likes 52 even more, just going in for an immediate flank. Gonna get one. Go looking for a Tao here. The 1v1, looking both of them just kind of dancing around each other, just taking it and running it, getting at least got some points on the board at the very least.
That is against the rules. A 1v1 in mid, you gotta fight that out. Objective be damned. You gotta determine who is the ultimate warrior in that one. You can't just grab the Rainmaker and run. Rightfully punished for that. A cowardly decision in a rare opportunity. The test of strength.
Well, maybe Tao would have just said, hey, I don't want the test of strength, I just want the win. They were not. They just didn't want it. They didn't want to test their strength. They wanted to win the game. And so far, they are still winning the game. And a nice snot rocket right there from the Crab. It's going to give Crushing 20s a lot more space with those missiles or with those strikes as well. But Larry going to drop in, get two to at least stall the Rainmaker for a little bit longer here and let that sink in. They have been having a really tough time of keeping mid, even though they do have Dynamo, even though they do have the brush here, they haven't really been able to get mid. It's been mostly purple this entire game.
They've at least been holding down the right checkpoint, which apparently is the only checkpoint you're legally allowed to go to. And when you don't pay attention to the opposite side of the map, you aren't going to realize that somebody's flanking around. Here comes the Gal, surprising everybody, as everyone has to turn their attention away to deal with it. Does that mean anyone else is going to capitalize off of that attention gain? The answer is no. So a nice response by Crushing 20, shutting down the flank and immediately getting back control of mid, as they've had, as you've noticed now, Topic, basically the entire 2 minutes here. Although nobody's really done anything with the Rainmaker other than that awkward 1v1. This should be an opportunity here for Let That Sink In to at least start pushing up.
I mean, yeah, you see they have Larry at the top by the Rainmaker checkpoint, getting a nice pick there. They're gonna have Cooler shooting as well. Zuka on the plat to kind of displace members alongside the Kraken, but the Pen at the very least getting the Rainmaker, making them look back for a second, giving their team at least a little bit of opportunity to get back in, but they're gonna just pick it up and take it and get the checkpoint as well. Now this part is very, very hard to push on. Pushing through this elbow, you need that Zuka. You're gonna need something to kind of force your way through, because even with this Crab just sitting up here, you guys gotta wait for that to go out or just die like that.
Sometimes you just die to a suction bomb. Regardless, that's gonna be enough to reset the Rainmaker. Right back to the hands of Let That Sink In, as Splat Kirby can just get a splat from halfway across the planet with that Zuka strike coming out here. But now we're starting to look at low-scoring Rainmaker territory here, where maybe clearing that checkpoint is enough, because you're only got 2 minutes. You got less than 2 minutes to go, actually. You got both teams only touching the Rainmaker once over the course of this entire game. Only one checkpoint's been cleared and nothing else on top of that. So now you got to be thinking, is this going to be one of those defensive style of Rainmakers where the lowest score might actually be the one you feel comfortable with enough getting the dub with? And, well, opting to wait for the perfect opportunity. Now finally grabbing it yet again. And they're not going to have any specials to work with. That Kraken's about halfway there.
I mean, yeah, the strike's going to stall them out. Kraken is going to be there as well. And I believe one's flanking is going to be Kirby. They're going to go down, 2 down for the side of Let That Sink In. Larry's kind of forced to, or Adley forced to sit in this corner and just wait and bide their time. Ton from mid, kind of flanking on that. The Trially's collapse on it. Tau staying alive by the skin of their teeth, jumping out to at least save that Kraken, or not Kraken, save that Crab, which may be helpful, but for how long? Because Adley, they're just running it. Nathan, they're not going to get the pick. It's just going to be Chud left to try and stall this out. The members are going to be respawning once again. They're going to get a little bit more points on the board. 12 points remaining for Let That Sink In. They're all going to be wiped out. And if you're Crushing 20s, you have one opportunity. You have one more chance, really, to get to 11 points and to go all the way through Plat, which is going to be a very, very tough challenge.
So what is the win condition here? You got the Rainmaker at the checkpoint. The only person that had a special ready to go has now been taken off of the board. And now you got to deal with everything else being thrown. All of the nonsense being chucked right at him.
Uh-oh. The nonsense worked.
You know how it was critical, jokingly, of the 1v1 not being taken? That was the only time, other than at the very end, where Crushing 20s grabbed the Rainmaker. That was it. They grabbed it once in that awkward 1v1 and then grabbed it at the end when they had no choice but to pick it up. Other than that, on their own counter pick, they let that sink in, dominate the time of possession. It just seems like they didn't have a game plan as like, here's how we're going to start pushing up. Here's what the initiation special is going to be. Here, this is all going to play out. Instead, it just seemed like, let's just hope we get a bunch of splats and then work off of that. And they never got a bunch of splats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It did kind of feel that way, where it's like it was disorganized, right? Like, I feel like solo queue a little bit, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna get a pick and we're gonna work from there. It felt like there wasn't a real cohesion. Yeah. I will say it more felt as if they were just trying to wing it and hope for the best. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for them. Let That Sink In kind of felt more cohesive. They kind of felt more as like a connected front against Crushing 20s. And unfortunately for Crushing 20s, your back's up against the wall now. You have to have a good counter pick, and you kind of have to make it so you kind of devalue what Let That Sink In's comp wants to do, whatever that comp may be.
Crushing 20s now with one more counter pick they get to make. And you go back to the huge lead they had in game 2 and the position that they just willingly gave up. And you start to think just like, how different would this match have been just from a mental standpoint for Crushing 20s if they just closed out that. I mean, obviously they beat up 2-0. But you wonder if just letting that slip away bled into the discombobulation you saw offensively on that Rainmaker Humpback one. Now they're opting to go with Clam Blitz at the Museum as their final counter pick for this match.
Okay. I like this map mode personally. But I also think this is like a very choke point heavy map mode, because you are kind of overly reliant on getting through the ramp, and both these teams are not going to let that ramp go really easily. So in my mind, I think for Crushing 20s, you're going to have to use those strikes from the ramp. You have to use that crab from mid to just bum rush it, basically. You have to like set up the plat in a way to where you can just have everyone chipped, and then you can just do like, a splat bomb here, a suction bomb here, or if they go go back to the throw pro, you have a missile here, can just clear it out really easily for you.
Potential match-ending game here in the favor of Let That Sink In. We're going to the Clam Blitz at the Museum. The E-Leader comes back out, so the Humpback. By the way, good counter pick if you wanted to get rid of that E-Leader in the last one to force them into the Dynamo. But now they're back to the E-Leader. The non-scoped variant here. As we see, as is tradition, the opening flank by both gals of both teams to get this one going. And of course, as is tradition, neither flank works out. So both gals are just stuck in no man's land. Who's going to jump out first? And the answer is neither one of them. Splatnet opting to move forward, and then ultimately they go down. Let's check on their brother. They get eliminated, or I guess non-gender specific sibling, who ultimately gets taken care of as well. All right, we got that out of the way.
I mean,
nice flanks.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what's expected sometimes, especially for Gal. You have, or for like aggressive weapons, you have that possible aggressive front, try to work out with that flank. We're going to see what they're able to do here. Strikes are going to come out as well, clearing out the plat, but you see that Zuka is at the ready to try to slow them down as soon as possible. Also, the leader, never mind, leader's going to go down, so that's going to be a very, very big help for Crushing 20s, and they're going to start the push here. Unfortunately, Tun's going to fall. They're able to score. The follow-up, though, is not going to be there. Tao has 3, but they're going to be caught out. They're going to be called out by the team, forced to go away and not pushed. So now you did all that to score 20 points, and you gave Let That Sink In a free power clamp. So was that really worth it?
No, it's you never want to be in that situation. But the good news is, if you're not going to get any value out of that push, at least don't get wiped out on top of it or surrender control of mid. So that's the good thing for Crushing 20s. It's not the push they wanted it, but they didn't end it in a horrible way to where they can at least keep knocking on that door, and maybe they'll eventually find their way in here as Ton Warrior is able to accomplish just that. Can their teammates jump in safely with the power clam? The answer is no. Now you're in a bad situation.
Larry, the Octobrush, just sat there, pressed ZR, and won, and it worked out really well for them. You can see, hold on, Tao in the backline. Hold on, what are they doing? They got the leader, but they're going to go down. So very unfortunate there. So now we're back to neutral here. Both these teams looking for a way in. You see the Zuka is going to be at the ready. Popcorn, what is so funny?
You grab the clamp. No, Mom said it's your turn to grab the power clamp. No, where's our E-leader? You grab the power clamp. All right, fine. I finally got it. But, well, we need the power clamp on the opposite side of the stage if we want to do something with it. And no, I'm not going to let just the E-leader sit in mid, because then they'll absolutely curb stomp us if they do that. Nice splat by the Snipe Rider. And now, this is your opportunity. If you're Crushing 20, you got to go now. As they throw the clams up top, they'll pop the basket, probably get a little bit more out of it this time as well. Probably. Maybe. Topic, you there?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I am here. Yeah.
Just so the answer was no. No, they did not. They did not get much out of it. Still, again ending this push with control mid.
Yeah, they're gonna keep control of mid. The game plan for Crushing 20s looks like death by 1,000 cuts. They're not getting a lot of points per push. They're just getting a lot of small pushes, and so far it's been working out. Just keeping Let That Sink In on their back foot, not allowing them to get anything going here. You see Adley on that top right side just kind of put up some pressure from a very interesting angle here. The Kraken from Larry is going to be able to get a pick. No, it's not. Ton staying alive and saying Adley, forcing him to jump out, jumping to the basket once again. A lot of pressure for Crushing 20's 2 members down for Let That Sink In. Ton's gonna go down. The scoring is happening. 39 points. Nathan with 2 more. They're gonna get those 2 in. It's just gonna be the pen, but they're not gonna get those in. And Crushing 20's has blown this game wide open. So now Let That Sink In have a very funny number of points to score if they want to get anywhere close to the lead.
Well, they might go a little bit over that if math works out correctly into their favor, but they haven't accomplished much of anything at this point. It's going to be what can they do with these initiation specials. They got Kraken ready to go. They got Zuka all the way down here, but the Kraken gets eliminated before they can get that going. And they're going to need a lot more clams. Even if they get some splats right here, they're going to need to gather up a lot more clams. Basically just do this all in one push. They got the E-leader in control of mid, but mid isn't in control of Let That Sink In, as Nathan's able to get up and it draws some attention away as they gather up more and more clams. Finally, here comes the Kraken out. That's going to open up the door topic for them to try to get to the basket.
Yeah, just keeping the pen away is gonna work out. Just getting some damage, not no picks. Is gonna go out there. Tons trading with that Zuka, and you see, let that sink in. They're gonna score one. A second Power Clam has hit the basket, but no follow-up is gonna be there just yet. Larry's gonna be. They're gonna go down. No clams on the board. Kirby trying to just bum rush it. They're gonna go down. So crushing 20s is going to hold on. They're gonna fend off. Let that sink in. And if I am correct, if my math is good, they won with 6-7 points.
Well, they win. You know, a win is a win. And I didn't hit the end button at times. They're going to awkwardly see me standing around with everybody else. But we're tied at 5 apiece. Crushing 20s, they never got the push they wanted until the very end. But credit where credit is due, they never surrendered control of mid. That was where it was all key. They were able to just keep the pressure on the enemy team. And even if they weren't getting a lot of points out of that, they were at least pushing everybody back, saying, okay, we're going to just rev back up in mid, build up some more resources, keep knocking on that door. Eventually, we're going to slide on in and get the big push that we were looking for. So, not a lot of value out of the pushes, yes, but it's how they ended all those pushes that worked out and kept them in a position to where they could eventually find that big push they were looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and during that game, I want to shout out Tao for just putting up a lot of pressure onto Adley and the leader, making sure that they just could not stay safe, making sure that they just could not, get set up and pick off their teammates one by one. So now we're going to game 5. This is Let That Sink In's counter pick, and I'm pretty sure that they cannot go to either Rainmaker or to TC, so they have to either run it.
It's the mode you most recently won on, so they can't go to Rainmaker.
Okay.
They go back to TC if they want.
Yeah, I think that with how well they came back on TC, I think they might want to go there or go to Rainmaker because of how how dominant their push was at the very end there. Maybe you can get the 1v1 part 2 and have them actually respect the 1v1. Who knows?
We're still waiting for the counter pick to come in. And just to remind you, the winner of this one will move on to grand finals to take on the GOAT in the room. And if it's Let That Sink In, we're going to have 2 really silly team names going up against each other. I guess Crushing 20s doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me either, but it at least sounds like a team name that should exist. And we're just waiting on that one more counter pick. By the way, thank you to Splatoon Tourney for the raid. Oh, it was DivX actually that they're raiding us from. You were casting out earlier today, weren't you?
Yep.
And...
Yeah, I was casting the semifinals. I wonder how the finals went. I'm pretty sure it was I hope it was a really good set because both the teams were very, very strong. So I just hope it was a good set. That's all I wish.
Well, I hope you viewers enjoyed watching Div X action as you've now come all the way down to Division 5 action that you're going to be watching here as we are waiting very patiently for Let That Sink In to make their counter pick. Now, they did pick Tower Control Ship Shape, and they can go back to Tower Control if they want to. It's the most recent mode that you went on you can't go back to. So Rainmaker's off the board. They've lost in Splat Zones, although that was... actually, no, that wasn't super competitive. Crushing 20s kind of dominated that one. Clan Blitz didn't really work out. Obviously, you're going to want something that highlights the fact that you have the slightly longer ranged weapon in the E-Leader. And maybe, do you want to go with the Kraken brush or do you want to go with the Zipcaster brush? That's the options that they have to go with as far as figuring out what they want to use going up against Crushing 20s. The pick is going to be Splat Zones at Hagglefish Market.
Okay, I was honestly, I was thinking they go Hagglefish Tower. I was half right. Now, this one, in my opinion, I've said this before, this is the vanilla ice cream of Splatoon 3. Like, it's not bad, but I'd much rather have something else than vanilla. Like, it works. It's a good base, but by itself, standalone, not all there. Not all there.
I like vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, see, that's fine. You can like vanilla ice cream. I'm just saying, it's a good base. You want to build on top of that.
I don't know. The older I get, the more I realize I don't want more. I'm good. I'm good with just boring. And Splat Zone's Hagglefish is definitely the most boring that you can come up with. But if you are a team that likes to get your E-leaders set up, that can watch the flanks that you know are going to be coming, if you want to get those zip casters going, or if you want to use Kraken as a way to displace the enemy team and force them to either back up to their canopy or abandon out to where those flanks are to where you can come up and attack them. There's a lot of different variants you can pull off here if you are let that sink in. The problem is crushing 20s is probably, I mean, this is the one mode stage combo where they almost got a victory against let that goat sink in team that they went up against, but obviously couldn't hold on to it at the very end. Game 5, winner takes all here in losers finals.
Yeah, we're gonna
Decaf
see
coming out.
Okay, I like the decaf, that aggressive bubble. Nathan swapping back over to the Fro Pro. It makes sense. Displace that leader. I think that's gonna be Crushing 28's game plan, is make sure that Adley cannot do what they want to do. They've been doing a really great job of dealing with the other issues. The pressure of Adley has been doing so much here. As Let That Sink In can take a quick control of zone, but not for long. Splat and going straight for that pen, forcing them to jump out here. One are going to go down, 2 down to a flank from Tao, looking for the triple. Ton, though, following up on the distraction, and you see they are wasting no time, getting very, very far, very, very quickly.
Let That Sink In was really hoping that flank was going to work out in the opening. And when it didn't, oh boy, did it open up the doors for Crushing 20 to start crushing things. But now, breaking out of the lockout is Let That Sink In. And it comes down to, can this crab keep the push going for Crushing 20? The answer is, at least it's going to clear out the opening ways. Are we going to see an attack coming from the alleyways to try to take advantage of that? It looks like nobody is there initially, but still points being tucked away into the favor of Crushing 20.
Yeah, but Let That Sink In are going to start to gather all their forces to fight their way in. Larry trading out with Tao. One are going to go down, so no pen for Crushing 20s, forcing Nathan back, at least for now. Nice snipe there by Adley, getting him right out of mid-air, and this is a very dangerous spot for Crushing 20s. Adley can basically look at everybody and keep them at bay, keep them on the ground, keep them away. We're going to see how Crushing 20s is going to kind of break through that. They have the crab, they have the strikes, they have the cooler as well. They have these specials. Do they see Splat in, though? The missiles may have seen them. Yes, they do, to kind of force them into an awkward spot. 2 members down and Let That Sink In. Splat Kirby still alive, still looking for a way to fight, getting another one out before Nathan is going to get them down. Pushing forward is going to be them. Adley forced to back away. Larry with the help as well before going down as well. Very unfortunate there. And Crushing 20's really great turn of fate here, and now they're going to look to break through their penalty points.
I would love to give credit for Crushing 20s being able to coordinate their splat bomb usage. All right, you throw it exactly at the left, I'll throw it at the right on 3. 1, 2, 3, go. And we're going to get a splat on top of it. But I'm more than willing to chop that up to just a coincidence that magically happened to work out. Or they're just that synergized to where their sub-specials are even in line. And if that keeps up, Crushing 20s is going to close this one out. Penalty points gone. Zone still working for them, but the splats are now starting to roll for Let That Sink In. How? What? That's not how physics works. Excuse me.
I'm pretty sure the splat roll dodges about 100 damage directly, so they lived on 20 HP. Splatted able to.
Wait, what was that?
You know what? They squid rolled off the block. It looked a little weird, but they did it, I think.
You can't keep explaining away with science topic. Eventually,
yes,
somebody's got to get splatted somehow. And, well, while all that nonsense has seemed to have settled down, it looks like Let That Sink In has sunk in to control of the zone. A lot of penalty points they got to chew through, though.
Yeah, a lot of penalty points. Time is still ticking, but good here. 2 members down for Crushing 20. That's a good start. You see no one affecting Tower just yet. Tao just looking to get this pencil down. A bit of a of a laser pointer battle, forced to back away thanks to the crab from Tao, just kind of making it short, making it so that they cannot just sit still here. Ton with the strikes coming out as well, going to go pick on Kirby. Unfortunately, not hitting the shots until just now able to get the pick there, as Correcting 20s are just gonna keep fighting for zone here, but Spy getting a nice pick as well before going down. It's just gonna be Larry is good. They're gonna pop the bubble to try and stall out, but how long will that be? The teammate is gonna be jumping in less than a minute to go left in this game. If you're Correcting 20s, you kind of find out you're good at breaking through here, but can you keep the zones? The question, you see both of them on the left-hand side, forcing them to jump away. Tao is still in there, going to get shut down here, and let that sink in, trying to let that sink in and get into the base, get into the zone, get into court, or get something. They're able to do it eventually, but how long will that last is the question.
30 seconds left to go. This definitely feels like a game 5. It feels like nobody's leaving anything. We're just throwing everything we got into the zone. But this gal has been flanking consistently, and they need to let one of these land if they want to get back into this one. But no, Con Warrior shuts it down. All of those attempts at flanks and every single one denied. Can the zone be flipped in the next 3 seconds? Here come the strikes to close it out. Crushing 20s, crushes coming back down 2-1. They win 2 in a row to return to grand finals.
I mean, hey, they pinned their ears behind their head and just went to work. They caught out the flanks from Let That Sink In. They didn't let Adley shake them too much, and they just held on. Like we said, this felt like a game 5. Both these teams, they're laying it all out at the market, just giving a really great fight for the audience, I will say. Just very back and forth, a lot of action happening, and unfortunately for Let That Sink In, the sink is gonna be left out on the streets, as unfortunately they will fall here, but credit to them. Great low ink run. 3rd place, that's nothing to scoff at.
Let That Sink In falls into the same trap as many teams. When you lose early in low ink, making that long run through loser's bracket, eventually it's going to catch up to you. You're going to hit the wall. Crushing 20's able to capitalize on it in that game 5 and slowly wither them down in game 4 as well, flipping the match back into their favor as they get a rematch against the GOAT in the room. We're going to be taking a little bit of a break while we get grand final set up. In the meantime, you guys go to the bathroom, make sure you get some popcorn, get some food. If you have children, check on them. Keep an eye on them.
Please.
That's always an important thing to do. And we will be rolling into grand finals momentarily with Low Ink right here on IPL.
59 teams entered Low Ink yesterday. After 6 brutal rounds of Swiss, and after making it to this point, there are 2 remaining looking to clear the mountaintops. It's the GOAT in the room. It's Crushing 20s. I am Topic, joined by Popgun, and here we are, Popgun. Another Low Ink and another chance for one of these teams to be Low Ink banned.
The GOAT in the room, which correctly has a GOAT logo, going up against Trustin 20s, which logo is just the team name. Fair enough, that seems to work out. Do you like Carbon Roller? Topic.
Okay, playing against it? No. Playing with it? Yes.
What about spectating it? Because you're going to see that a lot for Miyu X Sanu, along with Dooley. So this was the team where we saw Tal use Splat Doolies against before they went up against them, and then when they went up against them, they dropped it and went in for the splatter shot that was the Kraken splatter shot. So we're going to see if they're rolled back out with that again. Game 1's going to be, as always, Splat Zones at Mako Mart. Grand Finals begins.
Yeah, both these teams just ready and raring to go. We see a double backline coming out from GOAT in the room. That pen-heavy combo, and also, yeah, you were right. Carbon, we'll see how effective that can be. And yeah, both these teams did play in winners finals with GOAT in the room winning. So Crushing 20 is looking to get their run back here, but almost immediately GOAT in the room, getting 2 members down, looking for even more. Miyu Exano looking for Tao, able to get the pick as well. It's just going to be the pen forced to back away, and the GOAT in the room not missing a beat as they're putting up a lot of pressure, getting a lot of points off the board very quickly here.
So this is the opening we always see. The team that's got the long wait coming in from the winner side versus the team that's coming off fresh of a victory and immediately back into it. Who's going to be rusty? Who's going to be a little bit nervous in grand finals? Right now, the opening punch going to be landed by the GOAT in the room as we finally see the zone finally switch back out. So this is Danielle, who was switching back between the heavy edit alongside with the pencil and at times opting to go with the vacuum 96 gal. Obviously no vacuum this time around, although we've been seeing them use it very effectively in other modes.
Yeah, but so far they're being really effective with the heavy right now, just keeping a lot of pain up, getting a lot of pressure. The sprinklers as well, being the unsung hero, just keeping that zone painted, even though it is starting to, die out a little bit here. But you see they're going to push up a little bit, get punished by Nathan here. Going to go down to Big Noob with the dualies. It's just 3, or just 1 once again for Crushing 20s. You see they have a Kraken or a Crab at the ready as well, forcing them to jump out, keeping that crab alive for the potential push from Crushing 20s that is going to be coming up soon. There are the strikes coming out. Big Noob rushing in, going to go down. No crab is going to be there. The Kraken to force the issue here on the plat, forcing Danielle back. It's going to work out. Just Mio there going to just start and stay alive somehow, some way. The jump out as well. Nathan pushing up the splashdown. No picks. Lots of damage. There's a pick on the Carbon. And now Crushing 20s reversing fate, it may seem. Getting a lockout here. Forcing a jump out, though, is going to possibly be the end of the push here.
I was wondering the same thing as you. Why was Big Noob going all the way back there not to use crap to try to contest the zone? Instead, just held forward, tried to get some splats, and ultimately lost control of the zone, and a lot of points being picked up by Crushing 20s because of it. But not too much damage done when you get this massive of a lead there. But still, you're going to be looking at wanting to not give Crushing 20s many opportunities to get into this one. You got all the control against them. You got all the pressure put against them as well, knowing they have to win 6 games in the next hour if they want to win this tournament. So maybe they're just thinking putting the foot on the gas pedal, but I would like to see a little bit more conservative presence when necessary.
Nathan. I mean, the Nathan just was behind some kind of trouble while you were talking there, just flipping the zone completely in their favor, flipping mid, as well as these two sides. So you see Mio once again just sharking, biding their time, jumping back because they do have the Zuka, they have Crab as well. So a lot of specials to push in with, but can they push in is the question. There is the Crab from the top side, Cooler as well, to kind of force the issue here. They are going to pop it. They are going to go with the Zuka coming out from Mio. No picks just yet. Tao staying alive through the Zuka shot. Big Noob on the flank though is gonna get one. Looking for the second, just running down at the bucket there, is gonna get that, and that will be a zone flip in favor of Go in the Room here. You see Nathan once again in the back. I think they're on the snipe of Go in the Room. They're finally gonna go down here. So Go in the Room once again in control of zone. Crushing 20s, they've been doing a really great job of pushing forward again and again, but that very big hole they dug themselves into early is kind of proving to be really hard for them to overcome.
About a minute left to go here, and all the penalty points are gone. Players in mid, they should have a way to at least contest zone, but the hands being thrown away from the zone, trying to get a splat, but the players completely blocked by the blocks there. So that would have been a great opportunity. Hands on the back side of the zone while you're attacking the front, and this game does extend. Instead, it's going to be victory for the team coming in from the winner's side. The Go in the Room goes up 1-0. Love the action coming out from Big Noob there to shut down what was the last push coming out from Crushing 20s. Not only rolling around getting the splat, but fading away, moving back away from the zone. That forced attention from players to not shoot the zone, instead work around behind, start firing at things behind them, and that's where you saw the Carbon Roller jump in and take advantage of that, collapse on top of the backside of the zone there. But still a little bit of misplays back and forth, which is fine to see at this point in the tournament. But if you want to close things out, you got to focus the objective at the right times, realizing the game state, when you need to be using the splashdowns, not to get splats, but to paint the zone in mid. The Goat in the Room played just a little bit better, and they take game one.
I mean, yeah, I think the two things that really hampered Crushing 20s was, first off, Goat in the Room got down to 16 points off rip in the first, minute of the game. So that was a very, very big hill to overcome. But I think Crushing 20s did a really great job of they slowly fought their way back. They grinded out those points again and again and again. Unfortunately, they just could not, get a really, really good lockout here. I think the second thing was at the very end of the match, where the clock was still ticking. They had the zone neutralized, and then the splashdown went past the zone, and that kind of sealed their fate. So that's very unfortunate timing there. So I think for Crushing 20s, you gotta want it. Best way I could put it. Because it feels like if you were Crushing 20s, you came all this way just to lose. You gotta put up a really good fight as we're gonna go to game number 2. Their counter pick, Zones on Robo Ramen.
And this is the stage that they lost to the Goats in the Room in winners finals to close it out. So they're saying, nah, we figured out the weakness. We figured out something. So we're gonna run it back, and we're gonna keep you off of that 96 gal. We like what we see out of that heavy pin comp you've been using, even though you've beaten us 2 games in a row going back to winners finals with that. So all right, you want to run it again, but now it's a Splatling versus Splatling situation, and almost a mirror comp coming out from both teams. It's just the Slosher and the Carbon that's different.
I mean, if they're comfortable with it, I can see the pick. Maybe they have learned something. You see a little bit of a they started the game. My bad. But even without the first 10 seconds, you can already see that that Goat in the Room is just putting up a lot of pressure really, really quickly here. Unfortunately, they're going to go 2 members down. Maybe allow the Crushing 20s to get into the zone, get into mid here. They are going to fight a little bit. Tao going to go down there to Me, who's staying alive by the skin of their teeth, though. Even though they lost control of the zone, Crushing 20s was at least able to apply penalty to Goat in the Room, which is a very, very big help here.
Double grab, double splat. Yeah, what? Is this just the new low ink meta now? Splatling going along with the pencil? How are we going to deal with each other here? The Splatlings are being walled out by each other's pencil. The crabs are going to have to be the main thing. I guess you got Zukas here by the Carbon, which, oh, by the way, nice little cut back over there. But this is really the main thing they have to do to just place the enemy sniper on it. Otherwise, I just feel like both anchors, in theory, just kind of get set up and just take turns battering the zone unless somebody can find a way to slip up.
I mean, we might see a slip up here. A lot of damage coming out on the side of Goat in the room. Ton getting a lot of damage onto the leader as well, forcing them to, or the penalty, forcing them to back away. Now the penalty points for Crushing 20. So Mio gonna get one with the Zuka though. 2 members down on either side for both sides, but both of the backliners are going to be still alive for Goat in the room, so they just paint over zone relatively effectively. Here you see them going to be here with the cooler as well. Mio looking for a way in. They're going to force a fight here on the bottom side, staying alive somehow on the glass, making sure that they just keep up the pressure, keep up the distraction, staying on. Not gonna get the pick somehow, some way. Ton is gonna be alive for a little bit longer, possibly get the pick on the dually. No, the dually is still gonna be there. They're 70. They're gonna go down to thanks to the crab, and now Crushing 20s forcing their way forward a little bit here.
Carbon able to shark nicely. And I mean, the Carbon whiffed and it didn't work out, but this is what you got to do. You just got to keep rolling forward. And even if you don't get the splat like there, it doesn't matter. You force them back. But you just got to keep finding ways when the anchors are not able to protect this alleyway to just keep moving up and put the pressure on them, because if they get set up, nobody's going to accomplish anything here. The zone's just going to flip back and forth. We got about 2 minutes remaining. One team just got below 60 on the score. So it's just going to come down to, if one team manages to create a wipeout, that's going to be the team that wins.
I mean, yeah, you can say that again, because both these teams, they've been doing a really great job of not getting wiped out. They've not been really going 2 or like 3, 4 down. So they've had at least some sort of backbone to stay alive here. You see Goats in the room slowly putting on the pressure, slowly pushing forward towards the ramp. The ramp's going to be very, very hard to get up past. You see, though, the strikes. No one's here to follow up with this, so those strikes get painted over relatively quickly here, as we're going to see Ton trying to fight, going for Mio, staying alive. Very, very big here for that bucket damage. You see them just all around the zone. It's gonna work out for a second here as they're able to recapture the zone, but for both these teams, it feels like getting past ramp is almost impossible with double backlines, right? Because
exactly.
like you're just stuck here in like the literal ramen bowl of like everything's happening in mid and nothing else.
And that's exactly what I say. If you're able to get a wipeout, you're gonna get the win. And there's the crab able to take care of the pin from the distance here, but now has to get sucked away in the opposite direction, away from the zone. So now the seesaw works yet again. Oh, but this is it. This is it. Now you just got Nathan as the last one alive with 45 seconds left to go. This might be the knockout punch that the Goat in the room was looking for.
I mean, yeah, they're out of their penalty points. They're kind of at the force, Crushing 20s to make a bad mistake here. Mio going in, gonna get Tao, no crab. Very, very big there, and staying alive as well. They only have the strikes to work with. All members of Ghosts in the room in the zone. Ton going for the dually, not quite able to get it. Mio gonna shut that down before he even has a chance to start. Nathan's not gonna be there, and that is Goats in the room. Sticking with that double backline, going really well against Crushing 20's double backline, and now they are just 1 game away from a sweep in grand finals, and they've been playing really well so far.
They have. I mean, they've been playing well all weekend long. They've only dropped 3 games, period. And for some reason, they keep coming in chat after they get victories instead of actually focusing and locking in, but that seems to be the case with Splatoon players nowadays. But when you're up 2-0 in grand finals, the other team has to win 6, not in a row, but they have to win 3 in a row to begin with. And look, you counterpick something you already lost on this team against. Maybe because you knew what their comp was going to be, you switched up your comp a little bit, but it really just came down to, could the Carbon Roller on the Goats in the room push up and start attacking the enemy team? To which they did. I mean, they tried over and over again, but all it has to do is land once, and then the game's over, because you're going to be stuck in that seesaw back and forth for such an infinite amount of time. But, man, I don't know. What was the game plan there? They tried something, it didn't work. They got one more opportunity to make something happen with their counterpick.
I mean, yeah, for Crushing 20s, it is quite literally do or die. One last game to kind of, or one counter pick to determine, hey, we gotta fight. Like, we gotta we gotta do something at the very least, because like I think we've been mentioning the entire time, the Carbon Mio has been doing a lot of damage. They've been doing a lot of, because especially that last game, they were the only real aggressive weapon on either side other than the dualies, right? So that Carbon got into space really well thanks to help from the pen and the heavy, and they just went to town. And Crushing 20s had no real answer to it. Even though they did lose last set, like on this map mode specifically, I think they thought they could possibly counteract that Carbon by painting over it. Unfortunately, the GOAT in the room saw right through it, brought out the same pen heavy, and it worked out really well for their favor. So now, Crushing 20s, this is it. This is literally it.
They get one more opportunity to counterpick, and they've been slightly in this situation before. They were down 1-0, and instead of, or 1-2 in the previous match, they were able to find a way to pull themselves out of that one. This time they're going with tower control, and it is going to be at Hagglefish. So there's your vanilla with cherry on top of it, as you were looking for topic. And this should be, well, it's at least not zones again. So if they're going to go down, they're going to try something on tower control. And what do you think take us into the mind of the player here, topic. What do you think Crushing 20 sees with this specific counter pick?
Okay. I think you kind of negate the Carbon because it only has it only has one way in. You only have one real way to advance if you are the Carbon, so you can shut that down really effectively. I think you have the strikes as well. Bucket is very good on the elbow and the top right, so that's very good of taking control of that, getting past that first checkpoint. Crab as well from either mid or the tower can be very, really effective on that top side, but we're going to see what they run with. There's the Vac coming out for Crushing 20. Actually, no, wait on. Vac on both sides, which is very interesting here, and that'll be the only change. Both teams bringing out a vacuum. You know what? I'm intrigued.
Well, this shouldn't be a surprise because we knew that Danielle was going to be using it at some point, that they finally got an opportunity to do so. But yeah, this is the Crushing 28's game plan here is let's just do what they do, except with a slosher instead of a Carbon, see if that catches them a bit off guard. So far, no. The early opening vacuum being used, but it was just being used by itself, so not a lot being catched up here. Instead, you have the goats in the room able to hold on to the vacuum, not use it, but they do get control of the first checkpoint away in the first minute. Big Noob says, I'm not giving up on this push. I'm never going to give up unless I do right now, but still jumping in, at least able to contest things in mid. First minute gone.
I mean, Big Noob, they may still be able to push here. You see 3 members, and I think one from Big Noob's flank is going to work out here. So Ghost in the room once again, going to set up, going to push. You see that Crab at the right, probably going to pop it soon to keep that ramp clear. You see them waiting, but no, getting shut down almost immediately by the pencil here. The Zuka able to get another pick as well, but this top right side is going to be kind of very hard for Ghost in the room to get past because Ton can just sit up here and just lob sloshes all day and just make it very impossible for them to push forward here. But that vacuum going to be used in mid or in the court to try to get something. They're going to get shut down almost immediately. Big Noob in the spawn, they're going to go down as well. The tower is still going. Mio is going to be there just sitting on the wall, going into that top side, going to get a trade out of it as well. Nathan going for that vac, trying to at least get something here. They're going to get rushed down by Big Noob. They're going to go down as well. So Goats in the room, a lot of pressure, a lot of aggression working out really well in their favor here. They're not really going down. They're keeping Crushing 20s at a big disadvantage.
At the rate Big Noob is playing right now, if they were to win this tournament, they're going to have to update their IGN from Big Noob to Big Mid as the way that they're going to be working themselves out of low ink. As we see them just constantly keeping the tower, pushing it like it's a rainmaker on the enemy side of the stage. It's Danielle. Whoa, what is everybody doing up top here? It's a whole party on the canopy area, and somebody's going to ride the tower. Not everybody can have a party on that top right area as the second checkpoint does not fall, but the Carbon's is going to shark along it. ultimately force the player to jump out and keep the push going. Unless they don't. Never mind.
Yeah, they don't. But they don't have to go that far. They're going back to their side of mid, so they are still putting up a lot of pressure. Tao going to get absolutely demolished by that Zuki here. Nathan, with the back, trying to at least keep mid in their favor here, forcing members to the right-hand side. Going to be 2 down for Goats in the room, forcing a jump out as well. This may be the opportunity to get at least points on the board, which they are. Crab is going to be ready soon. They have the strikes. They have the back. They have a lot of specials, but can they use them to not only get that top side, but also protect the members? You see both of Vac battle going to be won by Crushing 20's Tao. Going to get the Crab as well. Hold on. This may be a push for Crushing 20's to get the lead here. No, it's going to be shut down by a flank from Danielle there. Ton Warrior is going to go down, and that is the end of the push. Good looking push. They weren't able to get up to that top right side, so now Ghosts in the Room are going to be back into mid, back into the court, and back to putting up a ton of pressure.
They don't get the lead. They didn't come close to it, but they cleared the checkpoint. That's all that really mattered out of that push. So we're tied as far as the checkpoints are concerned. But the tower being on the Crushing 20 side of the field is the most important thing to keep in mind on right now, because that is bleeding time off of the clock. Here comes the Inkvac trying to protect, and the Zuka's on top of it as well. And now you can't just vacuum the other person's vacuum. That's not how that works. They at least stare down each other. The checkpoint's saved for now, but look how much time is remaining. A lot of time bled off the clock on that push that added about 7 points to the lead.
I mean, yeah, 30 seconds. You need, 27 points to get the win here. So if you're Crushing 20, you need to get a good push started now. You got to keep Goats in the Room back. You gotta keep them down. You gotta keep them away from your side. Big Noob and Danielle both flanking, both in the core. One's gonna go down. Danielle's still gonna be there, forcing them to look at Danielle. Not quite able to get any picks, which is very big here. Mio going in, going straight for the backlines. They're gonna go down as well. Goats in the Room, they're starting to falter here, but 2 down by Danielle. The Vac is on tower, and that is all she wrote. Goats in the Room, a 3-0, and with that win, that is it for this edition of Low Ink and Goats in the Room. Congratulations, you are now officially Low Ink banned.
Well, I like the pressure being put out by the Goats in the Room. Once they got that huge lead there, they kept the enemies from using their specials in an offensive position. They had to burn them defensively just to get the tower back into mid, and by that time it was too late. Hopping on the tower with the vacuum ready to go, meaning you can't splat me, I'm gonna automatically get the win. Vacuum works out well, and the Goats in the Room, they are now the Goats that are banned from Low Ink. 3 games dropped all weekend long. One of them, Crushing 20s. That time around, though, the counter picks, they just couldn't find the right counter pick and the right kind of comp and the right kind of way to deal with the pressure that the Goats in the Room were putting on display. Much more competitive in the winner side of things. But now, April is finally over. And what has been an extremely busy weekend for competitive Splatoon is all but done now. I think we still got some looting matches left to go tonight, but there you go. The Goats in the Room. You're gone. You did it. Congratulations.
They proved their name right. They proved their name right. They are the Goats in the Room.
And who could say otherwise there? It's nicely done to them. Congratulations to Crushing 20. They finished in 2nd place in this one, and we're going to take a look at the brackets across the board and see how the rest of the tournament is doing. Hopefully, we're actually done here across the way, and I didn't even update that properly. So let's take a look. Alpha bracket, all matches. Submit, load bracket data. Done. Maybe that fix it. No. By the way, shoutouts to everyone who actually streams for Low Ink. Oh wait, no, it's up to date now. Everyone who actually streams for Low Ink in the past. This is actually extremely difficult and convoluted. You guys are awesome. And unless you're not, let's take a look over now at beta bracket. That's done as well. Straw Hats getting the 3-0 almost in similar fashion, as they only drop 1 game throughout the entire run as well. Hey, Malibu Rising, I see you finishing in 2nd place. I see you finishing in 2nd there. And
we love Malibu Rising.
Cyrillic finishing in 3 in beta bracket. So that's your tourney right there.
Yeah, very, very, very engaging tourney. Very high, lot of Splatoon action this entire weekend, and what a way to close it out, especially for Goats in the room. Very dominant 3-0 over Crankin' 20s. But Crankin' 20s, hey, offer bracket, second place, can't be mad. You know, you can go back, look at these VODs, and see what you gotta improve, what you gotta, make up for your mistakes to possibly... Wrong team, by the way. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Wait, I get it. Never mind, I was wrong. Maybe you could possibly be up here next month.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Low Ink. I think I've streamed enough of this that I care to see, and I don't want to test. I don't want to test the gods of streaming any longer. Topic, where can folks find you?
Yeah, you can find me over on Blue Sky at Topical2. Find me over on Discord at Topic_2. And you can find me next Sunday at LCS as a representative of the DMV of Anarchy Nova. So I will be there. Popgun, I think people never find you, right?
You can find me going downstairs and seeing how my family is doing. And then you're going to find me on the podcast tomorrow on this same channel, where we're going to recap Low Ink. We're going to recap Week 1 of the Splatoon 3 North American League. And we are not going to interview the winners of this Low Ink. Hell no. To those of you in chat suggesting that, there's a million other things I'd rather do than that. But congratulations to them anyways for winning this tournament. And rightfully so. They were the best team, undisputed. And that's going to wrap it up from here at IPL. From all of us involved in Low Ink, the head TOs of this event, myself, Hoenn Hero, and Brush, the streamer for this event, good old Popgun, and all the commentators and staff a part of this one. We thank you for watching, spectating, and participating in this edition of Low Ink. We will see you next month for the May Low Ink. Until then, stay out of trouble. I know this is difficult for a lot of you to do.
Yeah, don't be in trouble. It's not good.
Good night.